secretary, Deborah D'Amico, is suing her ex-husband, disabilities advocate Darren Aquino, for the return of their son's belongings and for money owed. Darren is countersuing for legal fees.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 357 on the calendar in the matter of D'Amico versus Aquino. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mrs. D'Amico, the defendant is your former husband, and this must be one of your children.
This is my son, Brandon.
According to your complaint, your son, Brandon, was living with his father for a period of time, then came back to live with you.
Exactly.
It is your claim, one, that his father refuses to return some of his personal property, and two, that Brandon received some sort of a Social Security check, and that his father kept some of that money after he had returned to your home. Is that right?
That's true, Your Honor.
Mr. Aquino says that the things that were purchased for his son are in his home. He can come and use them whenever he wants to use them, and that he had some sort of an arrangement with his son to pay for some of that stuff, and he didn't pay for them, so Mr. Aquino kept some of his money.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. When were you divorced?
In 92, August.
How many children do you have?
3 children.
Give me their names and ages, please.
I have Nicolina, who's going to be 20, Eric, who's going to be 19 in December, and Brendan, who's 16.
Okay. When you were divorced in 1992, the children were living with whom?
With me.
For how long?
Since that time, Your Honor, I had physical custody of the children.
At this time, am I correct, according to you, that 2 of the children are living with you?
Yes, Your Honor. And the date of divorce was 93 of July. The date was incorrect.
Okay, well, I have the papers here, and it's part of the file. Regardless.
Doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
Are 2 of the children currently living with you?
Eric and Brendan. Brendan left the home.
No, listen to me.
Yes.
You're not following my question. You're not receiving. You're thinking about an answer. Are 2 of the children currently living in your home?
One of the children are currently living in the home.
Who?
Eric.
Where's your daughter?
Nicolina had left, and I don't know where she went.
Your Honor.
Is Nicolina living with you?
Well, on and off, Your Honor. She's 20 years old. She's liberated. She goes back and forth.
But she was for a period of time living with her father?
Yes, until he threw her out.
Okay. Stop playing with your papers.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor.
Just a second. I ask questions,
sorry.
you answer them, then I make a decision. That's the way we go here. It's comfortable for me. I'm
Okay.
used to routine. All right. Now, when did Brendan go and live with his father?
The end of June 2001.
And when did he return to your house?
June 2002.
Why did he leave your house?
He had an argument with me. At the time, I was imposing a curfew.
He had an argument with you.
Right.
Went to his father. What kind of Social Security check does Brendan get?
Well, the father receives Social Security disability, and Brendan gets a stipend from the government based on Darren's record.
What's the nature of your disability? Is it a physiological disability
it's
or
physical,
a psych?
Yeah, it's
or
a multiple physical, Your Honor.
Multiple physical?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been on disability?
Since 1987.
Okay. What things do you claim that are in your former husband's house that belongs to your son?
Main items were TV, VCR,
Just a minute.
PlayStation.
TV, VCR, what else?
Several electronic games, all his clothing, all his shoes, which I have a list of, Your Honor, right here.
But there was a TV, was a VCR, and was a PlayStation that you took to your father's house?
Yes.
And are they still at your father's house?
Right.
Why?
Why? Well, Your Honor, he left that house in a very bad way. He was thrown out at 4:30 in the morning by her. We had to go pick him up. He didn't speak with her for 6 months.
Mr. Aquino, listen to me carefully, sir. Are there any items that you have in your home that you personally purchased for your son after June of 2001 when he was living with you?
Oh, sure.
What?
I have PlayStation 2, is it?
Just a second. PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Is that correct? That's correct. What else?
Xbox.
Xbox. Is that correct? That's correct. Go ahead.
Clothes from Old Navy.
Okay.
That are still brand new in the packages.
Exactly.
Listen to me.
Yes.
5 days from today's date, all of his property, so far with the extension of PlayStation 2 and Xbox, are to be quiet, are to be packed in a box. That all, quiet, that all goes back to your son. Now, I will give you 30 seconds to convince me that that is not going to happen.
Okay, Your Honor, there is lots of complications at that household. Many of the children have had abusive treatment by the mother.
I don't care. Mr. Aquino,
Your Honor.
pay careful attention, sir. Your son is 16 years old.
That is correct.
Which means he is still a minor.
That is correct.
Should you wish to contest custody of your child, you're not receiving, you're speaking.
Yes, Your Honor.
Should you wish to contest custody of your child, you go to the appropriate family court. They will conduct a hearing with regard to whether or not he gets to stay where he wants to stay at age 16, whether it's not in his best interest to be with his mother. In the meantime, all of his property that he came to you with goes back to him. Keep going. I don't want to hear about abuse. I don't want to hear about neglect.
Your Honor, right now as we speak, an attorney is filing a document in Nassau County Family Court to restore him back to a stable lifestyle, which I set up for him. He did not go back to her in June. He went in August to visit. She's misinforming you. She's also filed other documents that are falsified, which I would like this court to consider that she made fraudulent statements to the Family Court of Queens.
Mr. Aquino, I want you to pay attention to me.
Yes, Your Honor.
I sat in the family court, the state of New York, the city of New York for many, many years, Mr.
I know.
Aquino.
That's why I was confident
So I'm
here today.
telling you, and I'm going to tell it to you, for the moment at least, without your son here. Wait outside. Wait outside. Fast! Fast! I have things to do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He doesn't control the money. It goes to the person who is providing him with
Which
food.
was me.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No.
Yes, he lived with me.
Mr. Aquino, he didn't live with you in September.
But he'll return very soon.
I doubt it.
I don't.
doubt it.
I doubt it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deborah D'Amico says ex-husband Darren Aquino won't return their son's belongings. Deborah also claims Darren has been withholding money from their son.
Now, one of the problems when you deal with 16-year-olds is they're very mobile. They get to go where they want to go.
Yes.
Usually when a child is over the age of 12, a family court judge in hearing a petition for custody is going to make a determination that, yes, it may be true that you present the more stable home for this child. However, if he says to the judge, there's no way that I want to go and stay with my father. I want to stay with my mother for whatever reason. And the judge is going to say, listen, what am I going to do? He's 16 years old. He can get on a bus. He can get on a train. He can take off. Where am I going to put him? So before you spend a whole bunch of money, you might be as well served if you got into some family counseling with him to try to resolve some of whatever problems exist. Because sometimes it's an exercise in futility to try to tell a 16-year-old where to live.
I understand.
Not going to
that,
happen.
Your Honor.
In the meantime, it doesn't serve you well to keep this stuff as sort of ransom because it makes your son angry with you.
Yes, Your
It's
Honor.
not a good idea. Forget about his mother. I don't know if she's good or bad or a good mother or a bad mother, a psycho or not. I don't know. All I'm telling you is you have a child
Absolutely.
who right now is mad at you because you have his TV. You have his Nintendo. You have his PlayStation. All stupid things. Stupid things, but he's angry with you for that. And if you want to open a dialogue, you're smarter not to be stubborn and say, here, you want it? These are just things. All right, now I'm going to let you speak.
Your Honor, the reason I kept those things is because it was not settled that he's there. In my fight to get him back, because of the complications with the new fella in her life, now her husband, Brendan showed to myself and to my future wife these dissatisfactions and expressed to her more than me because he bonded with her as a second mother figure, which is good. It's good, okay? My concern is that these things that she shows him with the counseling, Your Honor, I've suggested that. She would interfere.
Your Honor.
She told Judge of the family court who you probably know. He got up. I've never seen a judge get up in rage with veins popping, yelling at her to shut up, that he makes the rules.
That is not
she
true.
Interferes.
This man has taken me to court in 20 years.
Your Honor,
I must say this because I've been carrying him for 20 years. This man has made false allegations, has used the judicial system to work for his benefit. He makes people lie for him. I am an upright citizen, a good mother. I've been taking care of my children since
filed a
I'm
document
divorced.
forgery
and
in
I
the
have been
Supreme Court.
supporting them since. The man doesn't even pay child support.
Not
He is
supposed to.
a
We have an
loser,
obligation
Your
not
Honor.
to do that.
And the man is making up
Because of
lies here,
fraud.
and he's telling you this like it's so, and it's not true.
Mr. Miko, what I'm telling you is, if you listen, I said, I don't care any of the stuff he's giving me. I'm telling him he's got to return the stuff.
I am so glad you did that.
Period.
I am so
End of discussion.
honored.
Because, Mr. Aquino, it's not the right thing to do.
Yes, Your Honor.
To further alienate your 16-year-old by keeping property that he deems his. Now, let's move on. That's finished. Let's move on to the second part of it, which is $391 a month. I am assuming, because I'm not going into this,
That was a recent increase, Your Honor.
whatever it is, you acknowledge that you kept some of his money because you say the last insurance benefit I received, it's not insurance,
No.
Mr. Aquino, it's my money. It's Byrd's money that we pay to support you because you're disabled.
Exactly.
No, it's my money that I paid into the fund.
How old were you in 1987?
28, I think.
28? And you've been collecting now for 15 years. So you've been collecting more than you worked, and you're going to collect for another 20 or 30 years. Believe me, it's not your money you put into the fund, it's Byrd's money.
Thank you.
You say thank you.
So
You misused their
Mr.
money.
Aquino,
Yes,
pay
Your
attention
Honor.
to me. Believe me, I've been around the block longer than you have, Mr. Aquino.
Yes, Your Honor.
Trust me. So it's not insurance money.
No, ma'am,
It's
not.
Byrd's money that went to your son that you kept, and you kept at a time when he wasn't living with you because you acknowledged
Not so.
that.
Not so, Your Honor.
No, that's what you
no,
said.
No. He
what you
took
said.
it in advance, Your Honor, to buy those sets. He says, Dad, can I have this money to buy the box and
Just a sec.
August check?
Shh. I want you to be quiet. I got you now. Let me say. So what you're saying is he took... Quiet, Mr. Aquino.
I can't tell you if I'm quiet.
Mr. Aquino, what you're saying to me, sir, is that your son took an advance on his Social Security disability payment.
My Social Security disability
His.
payment. His beneficiary payment.
Byrd's money. So that he could buy a PlayStation 2 and other electronic games.
And the cassette.
Wrong. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Listen to me, sir. If you, as his parent, choose to purchase electronic games for him, you don't make the choice unless it's out of your money. Now, if he's living with you, and because you say, well, you're going to get a check next... Mr. Aquino, I'm 10 steps ahead of you, sir. Because there may be something physiologically wrong with you, but there's nothing psychologically wrong with you, except you're a little bit of a hustler. And when you say to me, quiet, and when you say to me he took an advance so that after he moved out I kept that money, I'm telling you that that's a hustle. Now, he moved out according to you in August.
That's correct.
According to his mother in June, according to you in August. Did you keep August's benefit?
August benefit went to her.
Your Honor, I got copies of the 2 checks
Can I
that
see
I
it,
got.
please?
I got statements to Social Security, too, of the misuse
These
of
are
the funds
the 2
that
checks
she's had.
that I did receive since Brendan has been back with me.
Brendan has never received any use of his money while in Deborah's care.
Just a second. He's not supposed to get the money, Mr.
It's for the
Aquino.
parent to
60,
use.
it's not for the parent to
his
use.
Quiet.
support.
Quiet. He is not supposed to get the money, Mr. Aquino.
At an age.
He's not supposed to get the...
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
He's not supposed to get the money, Mr. Aquino, until he reaches his majority. At 16, he is still a minor, which is why you can go to the family court to try to get custody of him, because he's still a minor. He doesn't control the money. It goes to the person who is providing him with
Which
food.
was me.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No.
Yes. He lived with me. What do you mean? He lived with us.
Mr. Aquino, he didn't live with you in September. He didn't live with you in August.
Of what year?
2002.
No, he did not. But he'll return very soon.
I doubt it.
I don't.
doubt it.
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
When they see the fraud that she committed in the courts,
I know
I doubt it.
I don't doubt it. You filed
I'm
a false
talking.
document in Supreme Court.
You received August's check of 2002?
It
That's what it
indicates
says.
on the check I received
August 2000.
August.
To me, you have August and you have October. And I don't. You had better find out from them what happened for September, because they skipped
They're
September.
a month behind. You get the previous month when
I
they
don't
send
want
it
you to
you.
interrupt me again. You
No,
may interrupt
Your
her. You don't
Honor,
interrupt me.
You're
Trying to explain
No,
the checks and
don't
how they
explain
come.
anything. Don't
I'll
explain
tell you
anything.
what
They're my
happened.
benefit.
I'm not
I'll explain how they
interested.
come.
Pay attention.
Let me make that
You have
clear.
August, and according to you have October. You go to them and find out where September
They
is.
told me they reissued it back to Darren because he went to the Jericho.
Show me proof. Show me proof.
Well,
that
I
they
don't have
reissued it
proof.
to him.
I only have proof that I applied 2 times to be payee within the course of the past several months. I can show you that, Your Honor.
Just a second. Mr. Aquino, you've been sworn today, and you testifying, sir, under oath, that you did not receive September's check for your son.
Check. I didn't receive September's check. Did it come into the... She does the... It goes into a direct deposit.
Just a second. Did you receive September's check?
No, Your Honor.
Did you receive a check in October?
No, Your Honor.
You have not received a check since August.
Correct.
I have maybe a possibility why that is, Judge.
I don't care why it is. You said that you did not receive it.
That is correct.
Your fiancé said it did not come in. That's under oath. Very easy to get a tape.
I have letters here indicating that he was changed, the payee was changed to his name again. So he would have had to have gotten the check somehow, either by direct deposit or the mail, Your Honor. I have 2 notices here from Social Security.
Because of the problems with Debbie.
No,
listen to me, Mr. Aquino.
Yes.
All I'm saying to you is, and I want you to be quiet and stop moving from side to side, sir.
I have a limp, so I
No. You're nervous because you're hustling me a little bit.
No, I'm not hustling you, Your Honor.
You're nervous because you're hustling me a little bit.
I wouldn't hustle you. You're too sharp.
Your Honor,
You're too
look
sharp
at
for me.
these.
Right.
Your Honor.
Miss,
These
I'm going to throw you both out.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
I'm throwing you both
Throw her
out.
out.
Now, 5 days from today, you are to get all of the property packed up. You make arrangements to have it picked up by a third party, a mover or whatever. With regard to the money, take it up with Social Security. Now let's get to your counterclaim, which is nonsense. Mr.
Nonsense?
Aquino, it is
Why
your
you say
claim.
it's
It is
nonsense,
your
Judge?
claim. Shh, quiet. You say that you paid legal fees
true.
for your son Eric when he was in trouble last year. Is
No,
that right?
Eric was 18. It's for a charge when he was 16.
Yeah.
While he was living in her care.
Yeah.
That these things were concealed from me, and then at the end, she dumps him on my lap and says, now you take care of it. Take care of what? I said.
Okay.
I supported him. We have an obligation under the court, Your Honor.
What is it that you paid for him?
$3,000. We assigned it over to Anthony, you probably know the name, as Eric's counsel.
Who hired the lawyer?
She asked me to go and call my friend Anthony.
No, just a second. She asked you to go and call your friend,
Right.
who is a lawyer.
We were going to have legal aid for him. Yes,
And you did that.
yes. And she also met me at the court.
Shh. Don't volunteer. Just answer my questions. Where did you get $3,000 from?
I'll let Stephanie answer that.
No,
Stephanie
I
took
don't
it
want
from her phone.
Stephanie to answer it. I want you to answer it.
Okay. Stephanie took it out of her IRA.
Should have let legal aid represent him, sir.
That's what I said.
That ain't what she said.
That's what I
Absolutely.
She pleaded with
okay.
me and cried.
This case is resolved as follows. 5 days from today's date, all the property is to be returned to your son. It's very unfortunate that you can't put a period to the end of all of this heartache and
I'd
say,
like to.
shh, and say, for the sake of all the children and maybe grandchildren to come, we're going to get along here. Maybe we should all get together and try to be cooperative and try to work together as a family. That's not going to happen.
That would be wonderful. But
Good.
that's
Give
a
him back his
fantasy with her.
stuff, and that's it. Goodbye.
Yeah, this is case number 315 on the calendar in the matter of Haig versus Webster. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Haig, this gentleman used to be your son-in-law. He's married to your daughter, and they have 2 children. Is that right?
Yes.
You are suing him for the balance owed on a washer and dryer that was purchased on your credit in 1994 when the defendant and your daughter were married. You bought it for about $1,000 from Sears. Is that right?
Yes.
And they were to pay off so much per month for the remainder of their natural lives. Well, then there came a time later on that you and your husband decided to buy a 2-family house with your daughter and her husband. And you did. In what year did you buy this 2-family house?
1995.
And in that 2-family house, 4 of you and the 2 grandchildren, also came the washer and dryer, which I assumed you all used. Is that right?
Yes.
And then there came some marital difficulty. And in the year, according to what I've read here, 2000, your daughter left.
Yes.
And Mr. and Mrs. Haig, you stayed in the house for a while. Is that right?
Yes.
Then you decided to buy them out of the house.
Yes.
Now, so from 1995 until 2002, this house was owned jointly, and everybody used the washer and dryer. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Webster, when your former wife left you, what happened to the children?
They stayed with me and I take care of them.
And they're two boys?
Yes.
And how old were the children at the time?
3 and 5.
Was there a custody trial with regard to the children?
Yes. I mean, in the divorce. Yes, in the divorce.
So your former wife did at some point request custody of the children?
No. No,
she didn't. She did not?
No. She got remarried and went on her own life.
Okay. So there was never a dispute as to who would have custody of the children? Did there ever come a time when you had problems with your in-laws?
No, not until I couldn't take it no more at the house with them at the house and everything. So.
What do you mean you couldn't take it anymore?
It was just him not working, me paying more money than I had to, me just paying more and more and more money. Something had to be done, and that's why I bought them out. And I thought that was going to be it.
How much money did they get when you bought them?
Exactly $23,900.
How much money did you put in, sir, as a down payment on the house?
$6,500.
And you walked away with $24,000, is that right?
That's right.
It was a good investment.
Yes, it was a very good investment.
Very good. So, now let me ask you this question. What in the world are you doing here? You have 2 grandchildren that he's taking care of. That washer and dryer was paid over the last 8 years. There's no question about that. $25 here, $50 there. Everybody used the washer and dryer. The whole washer and dryer cost $1,000 8 years ago. You just closed a property where he's living with your grandchildren, and you made a handsome profit. You explain to me why, under those circumstances, you people would be foolhardy enough to come to court and sue him.
Okay, number one, the bill wasn't paid.
Why didn't you pay it? You lived there, you used the washer and dryer. Why didn't you pay it?
Because I got sick.
Well, that's not his fault. He's got 2 children to take care of. You're not his child. You got sick, you got sick.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with me? Or him? Or your 2 grandchildren if you got sick?
Well, I got sick, and when I got sick, I told him that I wanted to sell the house before we got into this financial problem. He did not want to sell the house.
Just a second. You wanted to sell the house after your daughter left?
Yes, right after, actually before my daughter left, I wanted to sell the house.
He lives there with your grandchildren.
I wanted to have him buy me out or sell the house so that I didn't have any obligations in the house, because I went 3 years without getting any money.
So?
And I told him I couldn't afford to pay all the payments.
So he paid? Just a minute. So he paid? What you couldn't pay, he paid. Is that what you're telling me?
Not all of it.
I don't care all of it. I don't care of a piece of it. He's taking care of your 2 grandchildren. You're not related to him by blood. Your daughter goes and takes off with somebody else, remarries, has a happy life. He's staying there. He's watching your 2 grandchildren. He's got to take care of you. He's got to take care of your wife. And now you have the audacity to come to court and want a washer and dryer that you bought in 1994 that the whole family used? I don't understand you, Mr. Haig. Is there something wrong with you?
No, there isn't.
There's a lot wrong with you.
No, there isn't.
Oh, yeah, there is. Go ahead. You have 30 seconds to convince me, sir.
Okay, when we first bought it, they took and they paid all the bills. Chris and Deborah paid the bills.
Just a minute. Chris and Deborah, where was Deborah working?
At Safeway.
She was working after the 2 children were born?
Yes.
Yes. Full-time?
Part-time.
What was he doing?
He was working full-time as a carpenter.
So he's working full-time, she's working part-time at Safeway, and you're not working at all?
And I was working part-time myself, and in some
So the only one working full-time is him?
That's right.
All right.
Now, I told him that I was getting worse than what because of my condition. I told him that I wanted to liquidate my part of the house so that he wasn't responsible for me. And he did not want to sell the house. He did not want to buy the house. He said he would make up the difference in the bills. I sat down and I explained to him that when we sold the house, or when I got my SSDI, that I would pay him back.
So how much did you pay him back?
I paid him
$600.
I paid him back all the money that we owed.
Oh, did he pay you back?
No.
How much did he give you?
Okay. It came down to where I offered him $20,000 for a buyout. He wanted $25,000. And it got knocked down. I paid for the $2,500 when we all bought the house together. He got that out of me. Everything that they ever put anything in downstairs, money-wise, I gave him $1,500 because they spent $3,000. I gave him $1,500. And then he told me that he wanted me to sign and pay for this washer and dryer. At the time, I was just giving him so much money and just wanted him out of my life so that I can start over and just be alone with my boys. I just said, okay, and then I never signed nothing. I just said no.
I don't know whether you signed anything or not. You paid him back. You
I paid
say
him a
what
lot
you
more.
owed him by decreasing the amount that you should have gotten when you sold the house?
Yes.
Okay, you still made a handsome profit when you sold the house. So instead of making $24,000, maybe you should have made $30,000, right? Fine.
Yeah.
You still made a handsome profit.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have the opportunity to be there and participate in the rearing of your grandchildren. What a gift that could be if you were nice people.
And later today,
When the landlord showed up the 20th to get rent, he saw holes in the walls that they left in their room and in the door.
Did you make any holes in the walls?
No, ma'am, I did not. Her and her boyfriend be fighting all the time. That's where the holes came from.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Donald and Donna Haig claim ex-son-in-law Chris Webster owes for the cost of a washer and dryer. Chris says the Haigs have been ignoring their grandchildren.
Listen, Mr. and Mrs. Haig, do you see your grandchildren?
Right now, no.
Why is that?
Because we don't see him.
I'm asking you why.
Because the feelings between him and I,
What kind of feelings?
it's bad.
Why?
I don't
Over what?
understand.
Over what?
Over the payment. Because
Over
he
the washer dryer?
Over the washer and dryer. And also, when I went to talk to him about it, he called the cops up, and the cops told me not to come back to the house. Because if I came back to the house, I would be arrested.
Okay. Now, why don't they see their grandsons?
I have no idea. His birthday, my 8-year-old son, Brandon, his birthday was this past Monday. Not one card, not one phone call, not nothing.
Did you send your grandson a birthday present?
Yes, I did.
You sent him
Where
a
was it?
birthday present?
Yes, I sent him a card. Yes, I did.
Card. Children like cards. They like presents. Why didn't you send him a birthday present?
Because I had put money in the card for his birthday present.
I don't believe that at all. Listen, if I construe this as a debt, I construe it as a joint debt. As far as I'm concerned, that debt should have been over. Certainly, 8 years later, the statute of limitations has run on that debt in any jurisdiction. And in this court, we use the doctrine of latches, which means if you sit on your laurels and you don't collect the debt, then it's forgiven. More importantly, I don't understand why grandparents, when they have a daughter who takes off, starting a new life, mothers usually don't do that, that are wrapped too tight. Got 2 little boys that she leaves with the father. You're living with the father, so you have the opportunity to be there and participate in the rearing of your grandchildren. What a gift that could be if you were nice people. What a wonderful opportunity that would be for you, madam, to say, look, my daughter's not here full-time. I got the 2 little boys. He's a carpenter. He works full-time. You know, I can be here. I can help shop and cook and take care of the boys if I want to. You're worried about a washer and dryer purchased in 1994. Your priorities are all screwed up, and I have no time for you. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step back.
I'm just glad it's over.
I don't think it was fair.
I don't know how much more money I have to pay.
I'm very upset about it.
Anytime they ever want to do anything with the grandkids,
Oh, I'd like to be part of their lives.
all they have to do is just call.
I want to see everybody together, except I don't want nothing to do with Chris.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McKay Schuler versus Anglin. Step forward, please.
19-year-old waitress Ashley McKay and her boyfriend, 23-year-old dishwasher Craig Schuler, are suing their ex-roommate, customer service rep Brandy Anglin, for the return of personal property. Brandy is countersuing for rent, a security deposit, and the cost of living expenses.
Miss McKay, were you a friend of the defendants?
No, we were a friend of her boyfriend.
Okay. According to your complaint, you and your boyfriend moved in with the defendant because you were having some financial difficulties and I gather got evicted from where you were living. You say that she agreed to let you stay there until you got back on your feet. Then something happened, she threw you out. It's your claim that she kept some of your property. You want her to pay for the property she kept. The defendant says that she did in fact keep some of your property because you owed her so much money, that you were there for 3 months, and in the 3 months that you were there gave her a total of $40. You didn't pay rent, you ate all of her food, you had a lot of other bills that you had while you were there, and she's counterclaiming. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. When did you move into her house?
August 19th.
And when did she put you out?
It was September 18th.
So you were there 1 month?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
No.
When did she move in?
July
July what?
29th.
And when did she move out?
September 18th.
So she was there 6 weeks. Okay. What stuff do you claim she kept?
We have a whole list right here. We have a 27-inch TV, a DVD player, a stereo, PlayStation 2, a fridge. We had Oriental rugs that were taken, my cell phone, DVDs, PlayStation games, VCR tapes, CDs, the book that had our CDs in it, our CD holder.
Where's all that stuff?
I don't know. I'm missing stuff also. And I take it that they didn't receive it either. But I do have
I don't understand what
a
you're
few
talking
things.
about. When you moved out, all this stuff was in the house, and I gather you told them to leave.
I told them to leave that night.
That night, and they
back.
left. And at the time they left, all that stuff was in the house.
Yes.
So where is it now?
My stuff's missing too also.
No.
Okay, where
the
the
day
stuff is?
they left, because you told them to leave. You were angry about something. I don't care what you were angry about. They left, and they didn't have opportunity to take all this stuff when you told them to leave that night. The next day, where was their stuff?
Still in the house.
When did you realize it was no longer there?
When the landlord showed up the 20th to get rent, and when I paid him the rent, he comes in the house like he usually does, and his translators come in, and he saw holes in the walls that they left in their room and in the door, and he told me to get out. So in the process of moving my stuff, some of my stuff came up missing.
I don't believe a word she says. When did you go back to get your property?
The 19th. So it was the very next day that we went back.
All right, you're suing for $3,000. The stuff that you have on this list is substantially more than that, but I gather that your limit is $3,000 in small claims court. Is that right? Okay. I don't believe this much of what you just told me about. I have no idea where their 27-inch TV is, where their DVD player is, where their VCR is, their PlayStation, where their small refrigerator is. I don't believe that you don't know where that stuff is.
I do know where that is.
Where is it?
I do. I've got that in storage at the place that I'm staying at.
Oh,
I do.
there
The TV,
you go.
not the
There
DVD,
you
but
go.
a VCR and a cell phone, which actually we have the same cell phone, but mine's a prepaid and hers a CenturyTel, and I have tried to return that to her because I don't want obligations to where accidents, somebody getting a hold of her phone.
What about a
and make cell
television,
phone.
her DVD player, a stereo, PlayStation, refrigerator?
No, PlayStation I do not have. I do not. I will account for what I do have. I have 5 items of theirs.
Well, then let's hear what 5 items you have.
I have the 27-inch TV.
Okay.
I have a VCR. I have the mini refrigerator.
Okay.
I have the cell phone and a microwave.
Now, I'm going to go over this very carefully with you, because if I find anything on here that I don't believe that you actually left when you left, that's not a good idea for you. You've got $400 worth of jewelry. You want to tell me about that?
Most of it was rings that my mom gave to me when she was about 16. She gave them to me. That's when she had them. I had a silver necklace for my grandma. I had 2 of those.
Why didn't you take that with you when you left?
When we were kicked out, it was about 12:30 at night, and she said, "Get the out of my house. I have 2 gentlemen downstairs that will escort you out if you don't leave."
What items did you take when you left?
We got dressed, put our coats on. I grabbed my purse, money, car keys. That was it, and we took out.
Where's her jewelry?
I don't know where the jewelry is. I do not. I've never seen her wear a bit of jewelry. I don't know.
Do you have any of her CDs?
No, I do not.
You know where they are?
No, I do not.
Okay. Within 5 days, the TV, VCR, refrigerator, cell phone, and the microwave are to be turned back to the plaintiffs. They're in storage?
Yes, they are.
What's the name of the storage?
It's actually at the place where I'm living, in the basement. That's the storage. My stuff is in storage also down there. I'm using my ex-mother-in-law's house as that, because I have a lot of my stuff down there also.
Let's hear your counterclaim.
Okay, they lived with us rent-free. Okay.
6 weeks, right.
Yeah. They made me lose my deposit on the house because they're little bickering, arguing, fussing, fighting all the time. And I lost my deposit because they got too upset at each other and him throwing stuff or punching the walls or whatever it is. I lost my deposit on my house.
You mean your security deposit?
Yes, I do.
Did you make any holes in the walls?
No, ma'am, I did not. Her and her boyfriend be fighting all the time. That's where the holes came from.
Go ahead.
They'd sleep all day. I even got her job at where I was working.
Would you tell me what they owe you money for, please?
What they owe me money for? They lived there rent-free. They ate all the groceries. The only groceries they brought in, I guess, was at like 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. They'd bring them in snacks.
Well, what was your arrangement with them?
My arrangement was $325 a month, and it was supposed to be including everything but food, which is gas and electric, stuff like that.
When did you make this arrangement with them?
Arrangement was made with them in July, the beginning of July. Other than that, but they, I'd watch his son when they were up doing whatever they wanted to.
What money did you give them towards the expenses of running the house?
Well, we did only give them $40. We had no agreement before we moved in.
Let's say you didn't.
Okay.
What about food?
She said she took care of the food. We could eat whatever we wanted. Her cabinets were always stocked, as long as if we made dinner, we made enough for everybody, and they would do the same thing.
Well, who bought the food?
She did.
Why should she support you?
We actually, when I started working, we went out to eat like every night. We started keeping food up in our bedroom. That's why the fridge was in our bedroom that my mom bought us, because we felt like we weren't allowed to eat there. All we did eat there was like eggs, cereal, macaroni and cheese, just side items. We didn't get into any meat, any expensive things
What
whatsoever.
difference does it make? That's food. Why should they support you?
That's just what she told us when we moved in. That
Why would she do that? Why would she do that? I don't believe that you necessarily had a rent arrangement with them, but I certainly believe that you didn't have an arrangement with them where you were going to support them like they were your children for the 6 weeks that they were there. And even if they paid minimally to cover some of the expenses, $50 a week, which is minimally what you absorbed while you were there, that would be $300 for the 6 weeks that you lived with them. I think that the rest of your stuff here maybe is worth $500. The difference in that is $200, and that's what you're going to get, period, plus the remainder of the stuff that she has that's in storage. That's all. Goodbye.
Yeah, this is case number 312 on the calendar in the matter of Collins versus Tierno. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Collins, your complaint against the defendant is as follows. You lived together for a brief period of time. You decided that the relationship wasn't for you. You were moving out. According to you, the defendant became a little hostile, had a hissy fit, and damaged your property, your car and personal property. He says, well, there might have been some weakness in the car that caused the damage. He really didn't do anything wrong. Right, sir?
Yes.
Oh, okay. How long did you live together?
It was about 3 months.
Okay. And what date did you decide to move out?
It was in August, the 23rd. Actually, it's 22nd.
Okay, so tell me what happened.
I was packing boxes to put in the car and had the hatchback open, and he came in.
Your car has a hatchback.
Yes.
According to
yes. And he saw the boxes and started freaking out, getting mad. Oh yeah, you want to leave? Go ahead. And I'll help you. And just start loading boxes out and taking and dumping them. And he
dumping them
in the car, like in a big pile. And one of the boxes, my video camera came flying out and just broke it.
So he was helping you pack.
Helping, exactly.
And putting the things in the hatchback.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened?
Then, on top of everything else, he put my stereo, my speakers, and he was trying to close the back, and he was doing like over and over, and he did it really hard, and the window broke. It was just a mess.
So that's the property damage that you're complaining of?
Yes.
Because there was glass all over your clothes, and it shattered, and whatever. Okay.
And paints, my paints were back there, I just dumped them out, and they were on my good suits and everything, and so that's what happened to my suits.
Well,
what paint and
where was the
glitter
paint
and stuff
from?
Stuck. Well, I'm an artist, and I had some paints and things, for arts and crafts.
Oh, so he
took and dumped them on top of my clothes, right?
Okay.
And then the speakers and the stereo went on top of that.
You have photographs of the car and an estimate for the damage, so I can take a look?
I have receipts. I don't really have photographs.
You have receipts for the hatchback window?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to see.
Out of the box and went for a tumble on the street.
Okay. How much did you pay for it?
It was about $600.
You have a bill?
No, I couldn't find that receipt.
All right, Mr. Tierno, let me hear your version of the events, sir.
You want to hear the whole sordid story from the beginning?
No, I don't want to hear the whole sordid story. If I wanted to, I'm speaking. Listen to me. You asked me a question. At least give me the courtesy of permitting me to answer your question.
Okay.
I do not wish to hear the whole sordid story of your relationship. I wish to hear what happened on the 22nd of August when you came home and found her packing.
I came home from work. She was packing boxes. She said, I'm packing my stuff and moving. It's not working out between the two of us. This just came out of left field. I asked her what she was doing, and she said that she was moving out. Well, so I helped her. I started helping her.
Tell me how you did that.
What's that?
Tell me how you helped
throwing stuff around.
Shh. Interrupt him.
I grabbed the boxes that were packed already, and I put them in her car.
What happened to her window?
What happened to her window? When I felt that the car was full, I went to shut the back window, and after shutting it, or after trying to shut it a couple times, I gave it one good one, and it just broke. The window broke. I didn't do it intentionally, ma'am.
No, it was negligent. Either it's intentional or it's an accident. An accident usually as a result, happens as a result of negligence. She didn't break the window.
No, she didn't, ma'am.
So who should pay for the window?
Well, how about the things that she broke of mine, personal property that...
Shh. Please, Ms. Collins, I don't have a counterclaim, Mr. Tierno, so let's not get into what things she broke of yours. What I want to know is, who do you think should pay for the window? Let us assume that I accept your version of the events, that you come home from work, you find her packing. You had no clue that she was going to leave.
Right.
But you very calmly decided to help her pack. And you were packing and putting boxes. I'm speaking.
Oh, excuse me.
According to this is what you just told me.
Right.
You were packing and you put the boxes in the car, and then you tried to close the hatchback at the time when you felt as if the car was full. You tried it a couple of times, and then you finally gave it one good one, because those were your words. Wasn't that his word? One good one.
One good one.
And the window shattered. So my question to you is, who should pay for the
It didn't
window?
really shatter, it
Her,
just cracked, but...
her, or you?
Well, in an argument between a man and a woman, and we got into an argument, and she was throwing things at me, breaking stuff, you know, of mine, okay?
You mean on that day, August 22nd?
Yeah, we got into an argument.
Oh, well, you didn't tell me that, Mr. Tierno.
Okay, well, maybe
Mr. Tierno, what you told me, sir, was you were helping her pack because she wasn't working out. She wanted to leave. You didn't say anything about an argument, sir.
Okay.
So now you had an argument.
Yeah, we had an argument.
Oh, that's a different story. So when you...
I thought you would realize that, you know, I come home and my girl is packing up her stuff, and yeah, it was kind of...
Oh, no, sir. She said you had an argument. You just said that you came home and you were helping her move her boxes in the car. So there was an argument.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did you break any of his property?
No, I did not break any of his property.
She did break stuff of mine.
What did I supposedly break?
Shh. Quiet.
And later today,
Car just lost control.
He grabbed the steering wheel. He didn't just grab it and like make it move and make me lose control of the car. He grabbed it, pulled it down right here, and held it.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carlene Collins says ex-boyfriend Bobby Tierno destroyed her belongings after they broke up.
What other receipts do you have?
The other receipts I have are for the suit, my good work suits, and my art supplies that got smashed underneath the stereo when it got thrown in there, and paint everywhere and stuff. And then after that...
Did you break any of his property?
No, I did not break any of his property.
Okay, just asking you. I don't have a counterclaim, so I'm just asking you.
I didn't throw anything.
Whether there's a counterclaim or not, I mean, the truth is she did break stuff of mine.
Well, I don't have a counterclaim, sir.
What did I supposedly break?
Shh. Quiet. Now, what suit are you talking about? Which suit is this?
There was a few. I don't have them all. I just have like one of my good ones.
Listen to me. What suit is that? That's the suit that's there. Because I have a bill
This one, actually, this one I didn't have a receipt for.
Ms. Collins, why would you save this suit for which you don't have a receipt and not bring the suit for which you do have a receipt?
Well, because I thought that I could somehow save this one. There's the skirt doesn't have anything on it, you know. The other ones were just, it wasn't even worth saving. They were just,
you should see my apartment when she was painting all over the place on my furniture.
Listen to me. I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to hear from you now. I'm asking her a question. This is not a bad thing that I'm asking her questions.
When I decided to file a claim and sue for that, I had already tossed the stuff.
All right. He absolutely owes you for...
Now, there was some time... He
absolutely owes you for a new hatchback glass for your car.
Why?
Why? Because you broke it, sir. That's why.
Now, he was calling
Why?
my
Because you broke it.
Well, how about the stuff that she ruined of mine? How about the rent?
Sue her. Just a minute. Sue her.
I understand.
Do you understand? She has the right
Well, Your
to
Honor,
sue you, which she has
maybe
done.
I could talk some sense to
Which
you.
she has done. She sued you for breaking the hatchback of her car, which you acknowledge that you did.
And the time off of work.
Judgment for the plaintiff. The car cost you $2,094.45. Thank you very much. That's all.
What about...
That's it.
Oh, he's our excuse. You may step out.
He knew what he did. You know, I guess he just thought that he just wasn't going to have to pay for anything.
When we get in a fight, she'd throw things and, you know, she'd knock over a little knick-knack on the table or a lamp.
I don't break things.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Spear versus Green. Step forward, please.
22-year-old waitress Jamie Spear is suing the father of her child, 20-year-old Job Corps worker Antoine Green, for the cost to fix her car. Jamie says Antoine caused her to crash into a telephone pole.
Miss Spear, you and the defendant have a child in common, and it is your claim that the defendant caused your car to be totaled.
Yes, ma'am.
You were driving the car, but his actions caused your car to be totally wrecked. The defendant says that it was your fault, that you were arguing with him, and you had no business driving anyway because your license was suspended. Is that your defense, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
How old is the child that you share?
2 years old.
Now, what was he doing in your car?
Okay, he went to Job Corps about a year ago. He just got back and he just got a job. This is the first job he's had in going on 2 years. So this is the first real child support.
You went to Job Corps?
Yes.
What did you do in Job Corps?
I took up a trade, brick mason.
And you came back and got a job as a brick mason?
No, I came back and got a job as, I'm working for the city of Winston-Salem right now.
Go ahead.
Okay, he called me that day because he was getting off work early. He wanted me to take him to cash his first check. And I agreed. And so being this his first check.
Okay, so far, was that your first check that you were getting from your job that day, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you ask her to come and pick you up?
Yes.
Okay, so I picked him up and he wanted me to go to cash his check, and we're on the way, and we decided that we weren't going to go through the court system to get child support. He wanted a chance to just give me money or pay for her. And so I asked for $40 a week. As we're going to go cash the check, I said, okay, this is what I want from you. Mind you, I haven't had any child support up until now. So he started telling me that he wasn't giving me money for me to go partying with or to waste and spend on myself. And it hurt me because I've been doing all this by myself. So that started a heated argument, and we started arguing. We were driving down the road. He got mad. He reached over. He grabbed the steering wheel. He didn't just grab it and like make it move and make me lose control of the car. He grabbed it, pulled it down to right here, and held it. So we went up on the sidewalk. We hit a tree. It kind of sideswiped, and then we hit a telephone pole, I think it was, in front of that, which stopped the car. Luckily, there wasn't a scratch on any of us, but the car is totaled, and my daughter was in the car. We could have all died. We were lucky.
Who takes care of your baby?
I take care of her. When I go to work on the weekends, his mother keeps her.
So you only work on the weekends?
No, I work on Monday nights and Thursday nights and Friday and Saturday.
You get any sort of sustenance from the state?
No, just I had daycare assistance, but that's it.
How many days a week?
5.
Well, what do you do when your daughter is in daycare?
Well, I was working lunches, but I wasn't making enough money, so I had to go back to working dinners.
Why don't you find another job to do if you're getting daycare?
I'm going to school in January, and I'm trying to find a second job. I am.
Why don't you work breakfast and dinner and lunch? I mean, if the state is paying for your daycare, Miss Spear, they're paying for your daycare not so you can stay home and watch soap operas in the afternoon. They're paying for your daycare so that you can be out there working.
Right.
Now, you have a suspended driver's license?
I do.
Why were you driving?
Well, actually...
Not actually. Why were you driving if you're not supposed to be
The
driving the car?
day that the accident happened is when I found out that my license was revoked. She came back to me and said that your license had been revoked.
Why was it revoked?
Because I had an outstanding ticket.
For what?
For speeding.
That you didn't pay?
I haven't had the money to pay.
Well, that's because you were home watching soap operas instead of working lunches. Now I'll hear you. Did you know, Mr. Green, that Miss Spear had a suspended driver's license?
Yes,
when
I knew
you called
that.
her?
I knew that.
He did not
Did
know
you?
that.
Shh.
I'm sorry.
He says he did. When did you find out that she had a suspended driver's license?
I found out when the accident happened.
Oh, so you didn't know.
Yeah, I know now.
It's not what I asked you. I want you to try to follow what I'm saying.
Okay.
Now you tell me your version of the events. You called her up and she turned off her TV and she came to pick you up. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead. Pick it up from there.
So she picked me up from work. I got off early, and the first thing she asked me is about the child support. She wanted me to give her $40 a week.
Now, how much more was that than you had given her all of last year, sir? Last year, how much were you giving her a week?
I wasn't giving her pretty much.
What?
I really didn't have a steady job then.
Just a minute. Oh, now I understand. So, you didn't give her anything last year?
I gave her something.
How much?
If I could, about $50, if I could.
So you gave her nothing last year. And the year before, how much were you giving her a week, the year before?
Yeah,
a week?
It was close to a couple of $100.
A week?
Yeah.
Really? You were giving her a couple $100 a week?
Yes.
That's a lot of money. Where were you getting a couple $100 a week from?
I had a good job then.
So why did you go into Job Corps?
Because I wanted to get a trade to make more money.
Well, you didn't do that.
No.
It didn't help you.
No, I'm still working on it, though.
You gave up a job where you could afford to give her $200 a week to go into Job Corps? How much were you making at this job?
$300 a week.
So Mr. Green, you are one of the most generous people I know. So you're making $300 a week from your job and you're giving her $200 a week child support. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
You believe that? This is coming from a man who didn't want to give her $40 a week.
No, let me tell you.
$40 a week. So you're telling me first you were giving her $200. Let me follow this, Mr. Green.
I didn't want.
You're giving her $200 a week because she had a really good job making $300 a week. So 2/3 of your income you give her. Then you wanted to get a better job with a trade. So you went to Job Corps where you couldn't send her any money. Then you came out and you got a job where you were making how much a week at this job working for the city?
About the same thing, $250, $300.
$250 or $300 a week, right? So why weren't you giving her $200 a week? The last job you had where you were making $300 a week, you were giving her $200. What happened in the car, sir? So she asked you for $40 and you said, I'm not giving you $40.
No, I'm not giving her no more money. So she started arguing. You know, we was arguing real loud for a minute, for about an hour, driving on the road. The car just lost control. So I grabbed the wheel, tried to pull the car back on the street. But instead, the car hit the pole and then hit up against the tree.
Okay. What was the total damage to the car?
I wasn't able to get an estimate because I can't afford to get the car towed anywhere. It's not drivable, and I can't afford to have anyone come out and look at it.
When did you buy the car?
In February of 2002, this year.
And how much did you pay for it?
$1,600.
Okay.
And then the value of the car is valued at $2,600.
I don't care what it's valued at, madam. Miss Spear.
And then
you think that I believe he's totally responsible for this? I don't believe he's totally responsible. I believe that you're partially responsible. You don't have a fight in a car with your baby in the car over anything. You stop the car and you say to him, get out. Stop the car, pull over, and say, get out. And then you would have gotten out of the car and you would have composed yourself and you would have continued. You don't fight with him back and forth, especially with the baby in the car. Don't you think the baby hears you screaming back and forth to each other? 2-year-old child understands that.
May I say something, Your Honor?
No. Takes two to make a fight. 2 idiots to make a fight driving in a car with a baby. You want to have a fight with each other in a car, bad enough. You're placing yourselves at risk, other people on the road at risk. But to have a fight in a car with your child in the car screaming and yelling at each other is the height of stupidity. So the car, you paid $1,600 for that, I believe. You only get $8. The other $8, work off at lunch. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. That's all.
Now, this is case number 264 on the calendar in the matter of Cochran versus Marsh. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Cochran, according to your complaint, you and the defendant had dated for a period of time. You became ill and were hospitalized for a period of 2 weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
When was that, sir?
August 30th.
It is your claim, sir, that Miss Marsh, during the time you were hospitalized, took your bank card and withdrew some $1,700 from your bank card without your permission.
Yes, Your Honor.
When you started to complain to her about taking the money after you were released from the hospital, you then claimed she filed false stalking charges against you. You were arrested. You were forced to wear a bracelet, an ankle bracelet monitor, which you had to pay for.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in total, you are suing her for some $3,000 because you say that these charges were false.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So let's start with the hospitalization. What were you hospitalized for, Mr. Cochran?
My doctor said I was under a lot of stress from working a lot. I took a vacation to get away, but it didn't do no good.
So it was a psychiatric hospitalization?
It was behavioral medicine.
Were you self-admitted, or did someone admit you?
They took me by ambulance.
From where?
From McDonald's, where the defendant works.
What happened? Did anything happen in McDonald's?
I felt kind of hot and felt like I was going to faint, and they said I fainted in front of the counter.
But there wasn't a scene or anything there?
No.
Now, how did you get custody of his bank card?
When Paul was admitted to the hospital, he had bills that needed to be paid. His father brought the bills to him at the hospital. He told me to come up. He needed me to take care of his finances. Paul, myself, and the psych tech had to go to security for Paul to release the bank card, the bank number, and details as to what I was supposed to do for him. Yes, Your Honor, I did withdraw the money, which I have proof of, to pay his bills. I have the bills that I paid for Mr. Cochran.
Can I see them, please?
These are the withdrawals. These are most of the bills that I could gather up. That's about like $900 and some worth. And I also have the bill where he said he loaned me $300, that I deposit $300 into its account.
Are you saying you paid $300 of your own bills out of his money?
Yes, I did.
You have a letter indicating that it was with his permission that you paid $300 worth of your bills?
No, I don't have a letter.
Then you can't pay $300 of your bills using his money.
Okay.
Miss Marsh, because if Paul is there for a psychiatric hospitalization,
okay,
you don't do anything with regard to your problems. You only deal with his problems if you're being a friend.
I did that, and I replaced the $300.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is what I was...
Okay.
There's it right here.
When did you replace the $300?
On 9/5/01.
What did he buy on his Zales account? A jewelry store?
He had bought a ring for me. He had bought like a necklace for me.
Did you buy gifts for her?
Yes, Your Honor, but I paid cash for him before we went on vacation to Orlando. There was only one bill that was paid while I was in the hospital, and that was $209.
Capital One bank credit card, $30, $83. Sprint cell phone?
That was her cell phone, Your Honor.
How do I know these are his bills?
Well, because we both had buddy phone bills. I have those.
You paid Sprint $125, and then you have another money order receipt that you paid Sprint $83.15.
For the 2 cell phones.
Well, why were you paying your bill from his account?
Because that's what he told me to do, Your Honor. He said...
No.
Because the phones were in his name.
No. But he's not using them. You had one phone. Who's doctor? A dentist?
I had to have a tooth extracted, and $70, yeah.
So why are you giving me this bill as a bill that you paid for him?
That was one that shouldn't have been in there, but okay.
So I got a Sprint bill that shouldn't have been in there? I got a jewelry store bill?
That's part of the loan, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Can I see how much money was taken out of your account?
It was showing there what was deposited and what was withdrawn the same day, the $300.
All right, now, Miss Marsh, when he got out of the hospital, what happened?
Paul wanted to continue dating, and I told him, I said, Paul, too much is going on. I just don't think it's going to work out between the two of us. And that's when Mr. Cochran started stalking, and...
He didn't say anything to you about the money that was taken out of his account?
No, ma'am. He never said anything about the money. This issue came up after the breakup.
Your Honor?
Yes.
The day I got home, I received a bank statement showing the withdrawals, and I called her and asked her why she withdrew the money from my account without my consent.
And what did she say?
And she hung up on me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Have they advised you to be under psychiatric care?
No, Your Honor.
Have they advised you to be on medication?
No.
I'm not so sure about that, Mr. Cochran.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Paul Cochran Jr. says ex-girlfriend Odella Marsh stole money from his bank account while he was in the hospital. Paul says when he was released, Odella had him falsely arrested for stalking.
Now I want to hear about this bracelet. Why did you have to wear a bracelet, sir?
I went to the police station on the case on the bank account.
Okay.
I was arrested in the police department on a warrant by the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department in our town to say that I was stalking her, intimidating her, and invasion of privacy.
Were you doing that?
No, ma'am, I was not.
How was he doing that, Ms. Marsh?
Mr. Cochran was phoning my house. He was creating problems on my job to where they fired him out from off of my job. And he came up to the job one day, just radical. He had, that day he had the gun with him. And I left, and I have witness, I went to the police department, and I just was filing.
Do you have the papers from the criminal court which ordered you to wear the monitoring bracelet?
Yes,
and
I
the
do.
certificate of
I have
disposition?
everything.
I have.
I'd like to see the papers, please.
Okay,
I
here's
got the arrest warrant and everything.
here's everything contrary. Okay?
His, hers.
Thank you. What happened when you appeared in court on July 15th, 2002?
When I appeared in court on that day, his case was dismissed because the last incident where I had to use the panic button, of which I had a device that I carried in my car every day, which was ordered by the court, and also had a panic button that I was to keep on my persons at all times. Mr. Cochran was out by the apartment building, and the machine didn't go off. That stunned me because it's supposed to pick him up.
Your Honor.
Yes, go ahead.
On July, they said that there was several false police reports on the incident, so the prosecutor and the judge dismissed it because of false police reports. The prosecutor checked in on it, which the monitor will pick up if I come in with 500 feet. On the day that she hit the panic button, I was not in the area. Somebody else was driving my car at the time to see if there was a false police report being made. That's why the case was dismissed. There was an undercover police officer driving the car.
Your Honor, I have a witness that knows how Paul reacted during this time.
May I speak, ma'am?
Sure. Who are you?
I'm a coworker of hers.
Go ahead.
I was the one who called 911 when he had the seizure in the lobby. I was the one who barred him permanently from our store because he had come in to talk to her after he had gotten out of the hospital.
What happened when he would come into the store?
He would try to talk to Odella, and she did not want to speak to him, and she had told him that before. And I simply said, things are not going well. Please leave her alone. If you cannot behave like a gentleman, you can no longer come in here.
Did he not behave like a gentleman when he came in?
He was loud, and he stayed for hours, would not allow her to do her job.
Yes.
Your Honor, I have friends that went there, you know, older guys. I've been going to that place ever since the day it opened up, and I never, ever harassed or anything. I just...
No. Listen to me, sir.
Yeah.
You were asked not to go back.
I didn't go back after the day I left the hospital.
Yes, he
I
did.
never returned.
Yes, he did. I asked him not to come back, and a week later he came back again, and Odella was there, and he wanted to talk to her, and she did not want to speak to him, and that is when I permanently barred him from the store.
So he came back one other time?
He came back another time after that.
When was that?
A week to 2 weeks after that. The first thing I did was call Odella, and I said, he does not look right. He had the same look he had the morning that he passed out and had the seizure on my floor. Please be careful.
Did you ever see him with a gun?
No, I did not. But I am the one who encouraged her to get the restraining order, and I am the one who had her make copies of the receipts.
The copies of the receipts are...
Apparently they're not doing any good, but...
They're not doing any good because they're all not his bills. You're going to get the money back that was taken from your ATM because she can't establish to my satisfaction that she used that money for your benefit.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand?
Yes.
You are not going to get back the money for having been forced to wear a bracelet because I believe this lady when she tells me that you were in her place of business when you were told that it's not a good idea for you to be there. And my sense is that you were frustrated. I don't know why, either because you still cared for the lady or because you were angry over the money or whatever reason, but that you didn't do the right thing, and she was afraid because you weren't exactly right. Are you under medication now?
No, Your Honor.
You're not?
No.
Are you under any psychiatric care right now?
No, Your Honor.
Have they advised you to be under psychiatric care?
No, Your Honor.
Have they advised you to be on medication?
No.
I'm not so sure about that, Mr. Cochran. In any event, I'm going to get back the money from your ATM card, but not for the electronic bracelet, because that was probably necessary. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,700. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She was filing false police reports and trying to intimidate me, making me look bad and her look good.
He became just a maniac.
I hope people that see this realize what women can do to you. You know, they can clean you out.
Hopefully this is over. Paul will move on with his life and just leave me alone.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Norris versus Thorpe. Step forward, please.
Student Diane Norris is suing her estranged son-in-law, 24-year-old construction worker Travis Thorpe, for an unpaid loan for legal fees, travel expenses, and interest on the loan.
Miss Norris, the defendant used to date your daughter. Is that right?
They were married, Your Honor.
They were married.
Yes, ma'am.
When were they divorced?
They're not divorced yet.
So they're still married?
Yes, ma'am. Separated but married.
When did they separate?
In April of this year.
Do they have children?
No, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you made a loan to the defendant for some bail and attorney's fees. And he's paid you back some, but hasn't paid you back all. You want your money?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the nature of his offense? Do you know?
It was a technical violation. He hadn't paid his fees.
What kind of fees, sir?
Probation fees.
What had you been arrested for?
Burglary of a structure was my original charge.
And you bailed him out?
Yes, ma'am.
How much did you give him?
Altogether, it was $750 for his probation fees, $638 to get the attorney to get the bond set.
And what was your arrangement with him?
Travis agreed to pay me back when he got his income tax return. And they only got back about $300. So they paid me about $150 out of that. And then the following year, when they got another income tax return, they paid me about $300.
I will hear you.
Okay, first of all, when I was in jail, I didn't ask for the money. She gave it to my wife at the time, but I still felt I needed to pay it back. So I signed my income tax check over to her, which was $1,289.
Can I see it, please? Are you his wife?
Yes.
Step up, please. Tell me your first name.
Jennifer.
Jennifer, when your husband was arrested, you called your mother, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You asked her for the bail money?
We went and got...
No, you asked her.
Yes.
And what did you tell your mother with regard to when she would get this money back?
I told her that we would pay her back as soon as we got our income tax.
You told her that?
Yes.
Not him. You told her that?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
I wanted to give the entire thing to my mom, and he was like, no, I can't do that, you know, and he had to spend, you know, $1,000 of it on drugs. So I made him give my mom $300 out of it.
What happened to your marriage?
He fell in love with another woman.
That make you angry?
Yes, it did.
Make your mother angry?
No, it didn't make my mother angry. She has no say in it. I mean, I did ask her for the money, yes. It was me that asked her for the money because he was in jail. But, I mean, the whole time he was on the phone, please get me out of jail. And I loved him, and I had to get him out of jail.
Just to say, listen to me.
I'm sorry.
He was talking to you.
He spoke with my mother a lot when he was in jail. He spoke with her and me.
He did. I went to jail to visit him, and he told me when I went to visit him that they would pay me back with the income tax refund.
Did you tell her that you would pay her back?
Yes, I did say I would pay her back, so I signed my income tax check over to her. I gave her that entire income tax check and paid about $600 on the bond. I paid all but $320 on the bond, and then all my probation fees.
The bond wasn't even $600. It was $500 to begin with. And we didn't have enough cash, so we put my mother's car titles up, her and her boyfriend's car titles up to get the bond, to get him out. Nobody ever paid the bond. It's still up. They're trying to take away my mom's car and stuff.
What do you mean it's still up?
Like, the bond still hasn't been fully paid. So they want to take away my mother's truck, her boyfriend's truck, and her car because he hasn't fully paid the bond.
Your Honor, that's what I've paid on the bond.
Yeah, but you still have a balance.
Of $320, yes, ma'am.
So why don't you pay it?
Well, I don't know if they put up their cars. I was in jail when all this happened.
What, are you an idiot?
Well, no, I didn't know that that's what they had to do.
You stopped paying on this, sir. You stopped paying on it in 2001.
Because I didn't have any money to pay the other $320.
Who do you live with?
I live by myself, or with my girlfriend.
But by yourself is not with your girlfriend. You got to tell the truth right away.
I live
You
with
don't
my girlfriend.
Do you work?
Yes,
What kind of work do you do?
a construction worker.
Good. If you do construction work, your girlfriend works, I assume?
Yes.
This is the girlfriend?
Yes.
Then you have money to pay the bond. What do you mean you have no money to pay the bond? What are you, a fool?
Well, at that time, I didn't have the money to pay for it.
You have it now? What is wrong with you, sir? You have responsibility.
Yes, ma'am.
Your evidence cooked you goose. I almost believed you that you turned over your whole check to her. And then I see this piece of garbage where you give me a piece of paper that says that you had a responsibility to pay a bond, that you knew somebody else was obligated to pay, and that you pay $3, $5. You made one payment of 60 cents at one point.
I just had to pay something when I went in every week to report.
She could lose her property. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
I don't believe there's any.
There's a lot wrong with you. He's a loser. He doesn't take care of his responsibilities. The attorney's fees, the bond, the fines, less the money he paid you, $1,108. Listen, it is your responsibility to take care of your debts.
Yes, ma'am.
You screw up, you're supposed to take care of it. Nobody else is supposed to take care of it. Do you understand?
Yes. And that's why.
Do you have a car?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Does she have a car?
Yes.
You put gas in her car?
Yes.
Do you put food in your mouth at least twice a day?
Yes.
Do you go to a bar occasionally, go out for dinner once in a while?
Yes.
You don't do anything until you take care of your responsibilities. That's what you do.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you take care of other things. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all. Lucky you got out of this marriage before you had children with him.
Exactly.
Very good. Goodbye.
Now, this is case number 220 on the calendar in the matter of Akins versus Jenkins. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Mr. Akins, according to your complaint, you and the defendant lived together for about a year and a half.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. We lived together like 6 months.
You were together for a year and a half.
Yes, Your Honor.
Of that year and a half relationship, 6 months was spent living together.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then things didn't work out. You broke up, and you said that you had an agreement with the defendant that she had owed you some money and you would owed her some money, and you decided to leave some of your things there and to forgive certain other things that she had damaged of yours, and she would forgive all the bills that you owed her. You just go your separate ways.
Yes, Your Honor.
But what Miss Jenkins did was she took you to small claims court.
That's correct.
For the bills that you owed her. And you claim she did that in violation of your agreement.
Yes, Your Honor.
So now you want her to pay for the things that you claim she owes you for.
Yes, Your
Is
Honor.
that right? And I've read your answer, Miss Jenkins, and I know I'm paraphrasing. This is not really what you said, but it's pretty much what you said. You said, grow up.
Pretty much.
Right.
Pretty much.
So, Mr. Rankins, let's start with the things that you claim she owes you.
All right. First of all, Your Honor, the things I'm suing for is the TV that I purchased from Miss Jenkins when we first got together. And,
Okay, TV.
Yes.
Now, when did you purchase the TV?
About 2 months into the relationship, Your Honor.
Before you were living together?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me about how that came about.
Well, first of all, Your Honor, we was dating and Miss
You were
Jenkins-
dating?
Yeah. Miss
And
Jenkins-
one day you bought a TV.
No, I bought it for her because she was in financial need. She didn't have a TV in her apartment. And so, me being her friend and boyfriend, I looked out for her and got her a television set.
As a gift?
No, as a loan. She promised to pay me back the money for the television set.
When did you buy her the television set?
December of 2000.
Around Christmas time?
No, I think after Christmas, about close to the New Year, Your Honor. This wasn't a Christmas gift.
Did she go shopping for it with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about the TV.
It's a Panasonic 27-inch.
Was there an agreement to pay him back for the TV?
No, ma'am. He bought it for me because he bought it because I didn't have a television. A couple of friends had let me borrow a television, but he said that he would get me a television, and it was before Christmas. It was December 2000, before Christmas.
Okay. Now, from December of 2000, Mr. Akins, until the time you broke up, which was when?
Beginning of May, Your Honor.
Long time. Did she make any payments on this loan for the television?
She gave me $50 after that initially, and then she also had other expenses, like she used to get her car towed all the time.
No, you're not paying attention to me. Don't try to get ahead of me. Mr. Akins, do you think that you think that I'm going to forget my question?
Oh, no, Your Honor.
I'm not that old, sir. Did she make regular payments to you after December of 2000?
Yes, Your Honor. She gave me $50, Your Honor.
When?
She gave me about 2 months afterwards.
Is that right?
No, I didn't give you
Get
any
out of
money
here.
for
You
the
doesn't even
television.
remember. What did you have for lunch yesterday?
Your Honor, she did make the payment. She
right.
gave me a payment on the television
Good.
set.
She made a $50 payment 2 months after that.
Yes.
And what about the rest of the money?
And it never came up again, Your
Never
Honor.
came up again, and then you moved in together.
Then we moved in together,
And did you
Your Honor.
both watch the 27-inch Panasonic?
No, well, that TV was in her bedroom, Your Honor. Later on, she bought me a television set, and then after we broke up, she wanted me to pay her back for the television set. So as we was breaking up, I said, well, why would I pay you back? I bought you a television set for $400, and you never gave me a dime for it. We had an agreement during that time that everything was split even.
You are just going to continue to go your way, and I'm telling you that I control my space.
I understand
So
that,
I have questions. When I finish with my questions, if I need any more information, I'll ask you, Mr. Akins.
I understand, Your Honor.
So that's one thing that you're suing for, the TV,
Yes.
right? That was purchased before you moved in together.
Yes, Your Honor.
What else?
A mixer and a crock
mixer.
pot.
Tell me about the mixer.
The mixer I bought at Best Buy for the defendant, for our household goods, because we were together. So I bought it for the household. And the crock pot for her, Your Honor, because she wanted it.
A mixer.
A mixer, a
And how
$200 mixer.
$200 mixer. What about the crock pot?
Crock pot was like $50. I have prices right here from Best Buy.
I don't want the price from Best Buy. I want your paid bills.
Well, I don't have the bills, Your Honor. They were left at her house, at her residence right now.
I have the receipts. I have the receipts.
Whose name are they? His?
No, my name. My credit card name is on the receipts.
Let me see.
The bills weren't paid in the credit card. It was paid through me, through my employee discount for the crock pot and the mixer. She didn't purchase the crock pot and the mixer.
Ma'am, we both work at Best Buy, so it was both of us have the same.
Power stand mixer was $39.60. Where do you get $200, sir?
The mixer is worth $200. The judge told me I have to come back. When I went to small claims court, I had to sue for the original price of the mixer.
Let me ask you a question, sir. If you want to go to small claims court and go before some person who told you that you're entitled to $200 if you're successful on something that you paid $30 for, I think you ought to go and find her. That doesn't happen here. Even if I found that you bought this thing and that you were entitled to it, you could go to you still work for Best Buy?
Yes.
Go there and spend another $30 and get another mixer. Why would I give you $200? You're just annoyed because she wanted judgment against you. That's why she said, grow
No, Your
up.
Honor.
Me too.
I'm not annoyed because...
Then we have a crock pot, which you said was $50, which was $14.
14. I haven't seen these receipts.
Yes, ma'am.
$14.70.
I haven't seen these receipts.
He
Your
never
Honor.
seen a receipt because I purchased it.
No. Show him the receipts.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There was no verbal agreement.
We lived together for 2 years, and you telling me we had verbal agreement. We were together.
Speak not!
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Elmer Aiken says ex-girlfriend Tiffany Jenkins owes for property she either stole or destroyed. Tiffany says Elmer needs to grow up.
What else do you claim she owes you for, Mr. Akins?
On 2 occasions, the defendant came into my apartment before we lived together and destroyed my personal property.
Okay, just a second. I read that. You said that that was sometime in October,
Yes,
and then you moved in together.
yes.
Why did you move in together?
Well, she came to me with a sad story, talking about, oh, we had scheduled to move in together, this and this and that. Oh, I can't afford to move in together.
What's this and this and that?
I can't afford to move and get a place on my own. So I was like, okay, we can reconcile, we can get back together, and we can try to make this work.
Very good. Then,
And
then you forgave her all the things that she allegedly broke when you had...
No, I didn't. We never talked
didn't?
about it, Your Honor.
You never talked about it.
That's what came at the end.
Why do you expect me to talk about something that happened 2 years ago
This is where I'm coming to, Your Honor, with the
now,
agreement at the
sir,
end.
Mr. Akins, don't try to talk over me. Now I've got the drill. You want the things that she allegedly broke, and then you want the mixer and the crock pot, the receipts for which she has that are in her name, that all amount to maybe $40. Then you want a TV that you purchased for her before you were living together 2 years ago. Now you're going to explain to me about your agreement.
And I also want for a rider bill. I moved in her stuff out of her old apartment into the new apartment, and I also pay people to move her. I have the rider bill right here, if you want to look at it, Your Honor.
I don't. It's not even in your complaint. It's not in your complaint.
Well, I have to take that up later.
You can't take that up later, Mr. Akins. I'm going to tell you why. Because you have one opportunity to file all claims that surround the same incident. You can't pick and choose and say, well, I'm going to sue her today for the mixer, tomorrow for the crock pot, the next day for the television, and then 2 weeks from now I'm going to sue her for the TV, because that is called harassment.
Well,
that's called harassment.
Well, Your Honor, she sued me.
Shh. Listen to me. So, if you didn't include it in this claim, this rider bill, that claim is forever over. I want you to understand that. Now you can tell me why her suing you and what she sued you for caused you to file this lawsuit.
Well, at the end of the relationship, she said I owe her money for a television set that she purchased for me. During the time that we was living together, she moved in one of her best friends into our apartment. Her friend was supposed to pay me $400 for back rent. I said, we could do this. She won't have to pay me the $400. She verbally told me she was going to give me and give it to you, and we'll be settled, and the whole thing will be over. After that agreement, she got with me, and I say, okay, I'll pay her back for the television set that she purchased for me just to get her out of my life. Later on, a week later, I get a summons that I'm getting sued for the same television set that I'm paying for and the back rent, even though we had a verbal agreement from the inner relationship that the whole thing would be over and that we each other would get on with our lives.
Was that clear as a bell to you?
I have no idea what this man is talking about.
I don't either.
It's all complicated, Your Honor. It's all complicated.
Oh, I know.
But all I know is we had a verbal agreement that bygones would be bygones.
It's like the Treaty of Versailles. Miss Jenkins.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything you want to say to me?
Okay, there was no verbal agreement after, when
Your
I
Honor.
went to camp.
Your Honor, we lived together for 2 years, and you telling me we had no verbal agreement. Well, we lived together for 6 months. We were together for
Speak not! Listen to me.
Okay.
You bought the crock pot?
Yes, ma'am.
That's here. You bought the mixer?
Yes, ma'am.
That's here. I'm not interested in
The
things that you
television.
may have broken before you moved in together. He forgave those things because I assume that
No, I
after
didn't,
you
Your
move in
Honor.
together,
Your Honor.
quiet! That after you moved in together, you did share a bedroom, did you
Yes,
not?
ma'am.
And you did share a bed, did you not?
Yes, ma'am.
Why? Somebody gets angry because you broke their best Baccarat crystal, then you don't share a bed together and get up in the morning and say, you're going to pay me for that glass tomorrow, remember. That doesn't usually happen, so forget about that. Now, as far as the television is concerned, I don't find that that was a loan.
No, ma'am, it wasn't.
But I'm just curious. He says there was another television set purchased. Who purchased it?
He purchased the television with my credit card. I came from out of town, and he had a sale auction at his store, and he went and bought the television for me. The television was, I was on.
You're talking about 2 years ago?
No, ma'am. The new television.
Okay.
He bought it with my credit card. I sent him to the store with my credit card to get it because I had drove 7 hours that day. I went to Cancun. When I came back, the television was gone. I asked him why he didn't take the television he paid for and leave.
That's not true, Your Honor. That's not true.
Shh. Just a second.
When I came back from Cancun, he was gone.
Oh,
All
just a
moved
second.
out.
So he took the TV.
Yes, ma'am.
He took the TV that was purchased on your credit
Yes,
card
ma'am.
that you are still paying for.
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, I gotcha.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jenkins, I have a relatively good short-term memory. When we started this case, I said that Ms. Jenkins, in her answer, seems to be saying, why doesn't he just grow up and get on with his life?
Well, Your Honor,
I think that's a very good idea.
Well,
the
Your
case
Honor,
is dismissed. Grow up,
Thank
get
you.
on with it.
These are excused. You may step out.
Don't sit there and drag somebody to court just because you have a grudge.
I looked out for her, but she screwed me in the end.
Just trying to be evil, that's all.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bullock versus Haycox. Step forward, please.
Nurse Karen Bullock is suing her ex-boyfriend, Ralph Haycox, for having her falsely arrested and for the return of her belongings. Ralph says during an argument, Karen hit him with a Big Mac.
Miss Bullock, how long were you and the defendant in a relationship?
Ralph and I were in a relationship for 9 years.
According to your complaint, the defendant had you falsely arrested on domestic violence charges and you were forced to spend some 30 days in jail. You want to be compensated for that. And in addition, you say that when he unceremoniously told you to get your stuff and get out, he kept some of your personal property and you want it back or the value of that property. That's what your lawsuit is about, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Haycox, is that your name?
Yes.
Says that you got arrested because you deserve to get arrested. You spent time in jail because you deserve to spend time in jail. and that he has none of your property. Is that right, sir?
Yes.
When was this incident that caused you to be arrested?
It was in March of this year. I served 30 days in jail.
Well, tell me about it. What happened?
Ralph and, like I said, Ralph and I have been together for 9 years. I walked in and caught him in the bed with another woman.
Look at me, please. Don't
The
look
cops
there.
was called and I was arrested. I was told it was a violation of a restraining order. And I appeared in front of the judge. And
Just a second. When you came home, something must have happened if the police were called.
Actually, nothing. I told him, I said, oh, I done caught you in a lie. You told me it was over between him and this woman. Actually, him and I had problems.
Just a second. He called the police. You want to tell me, sir, what happened when she caught you?
I was home alone. There was no one there with me, and she came in with an attitude about something. And
That's not true.
we started having a debate, and the next thing I know, she had a Big Mac, and she took and slammed it in my face.
A Big Mac
Hamburger.
sandwich?
Yes.
That's not true.
Okay.
And instead of going off and hitting her, I called the police, and she left and went to one of my neighbor's house to try to hide, but they put a warrant out for her, and about a week later they came to the house and picked her up.
Has there been incidents of violence between the two of you before?
Yes.
Tell me when.
Oh, the relationship was just full of violence and nonsense. We'd broken up maybe a half a dozen times before, and it's just time to stay away from each other. That's what I wanted her to do.
Okay. Now, what I read in the complaint was, Ms. Bullock, it appears to me that there was a restraining order that was in existence at the time Mr. Haithcox called the police and had you arrested for this hamburger incident. When was that restraining order issued?
Had to be a few years ago, but I didn't know that it was still in effect. To my knowledge,
But it was still in effect.
Evidently, it was.
So he had a protective order.
Right.
So you served 30 days for violating that protective order.
That's what I found out it was.
Now, did you plead guilty to violating the protective order?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any of the criminal court papers, please?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at them. I don't think you understand. Thanks.
Oh, I have something else here, too.
Well, this was issued in February, and this protective order says that you are to refrain from doing anything to him and to refrain from entering the family dwelling.
Mm-hmm.
You pled guilty? You pled guilty to violating the restraining order?
That's what they got me on, for violating the restraining
You
order.
pled guilty and served 30 days.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Then you can't sue him for falsely having you arrested.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. Now, what personal property do you say you still have in the defendant's house?
I have receipts and stuff, documented stuff that I had.
Like what? Give me an example.
A television. I have antiques in there, lamps, dishes, blow dryer, curling iron, mirror, handmade mirror.
Go ahead, sir. Do you have any of her stuff?
Yes, some of those things are there, but I've called her and tried to make arrangements with her so she could come and pick up her property.
Okay.
And she said, well, I'm going to settle it in court and don't call here anymore.
Fine.
So,
This is what you want to do. I want you to pack up her property. Pack it up neatly. Don't damage anything because you want this lady to leave you alone. Correct? What relative do you have? You live in New Britain, Connecticut?
I have a brother.
Do you get along with her brother?
yeah.
Good. 5 days from today, your brother, in the company of a police officer, will go to the house. He will give your brother your property. Do you understand? He says he has some of your property, and he doesn't look like a nut, so that he doesn't want you to come around anymore. So whatever you have that belongs to her, or you think even marginally belongs to her, be smart. Pack up, get ready for her brother to pick up. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. 5 days. That's all. Thank you very much.
This case number 322 on the calendar in the matter of Newens versus Newens. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Newens, when were you and the defendant married?
We were married in June of 1997. Or, excuse me, 1987.
And when were you divorced?
August of 1996.
Do you have children?
We have 4 children.
From 1987 till 1996, in what state did you reside?
From 1987 to 1996, we resided in California and in Wisconsin.
When did you reside in Wisconsin?
From 1992 to the beginning of 1994.
I ask you this because the timeline here is quite important.
Yes.
According to your complaint, after your divorce, you and your former wife were arrested here in California. And you were arrested on outstanding warrants from the state of Wisconsin for welfare fraud. According to you, there was an agreement between you and your former wife that if you paid whatever fines there were in Wisconsin, which amounted to $4,800, she would give you credit for $2,400 towards what you owed her in child support.
Correct.
Now you've been summoned to court, and you've been told by the judge that you have to pay those arrears, which are probably more substantial than $2,400.
Yes, ma'am.
And you said to her, what about the agreement we had, that you would give me credit for half of that? And she said, we don't have an agreement. So you want $2,400, which is her half of what you paid to the state of Wisconsin in order to get rid of all the charges pending against both of you.
Correct.
You were in the state of California when you were arrested, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had an attorney?
No, ma'am.
Who told you that if you paid this $4,800, you wouldn't have to go back to Wisconsin to surrender yourself?
The district attorney of Outagamie County, Wisconsin.
Now, tell me what the welfare fraud was about from 1992 to 1994.
I believe it's for food stamps and medical aid.
How come there was fraud, sir?
I believe there was fraud because we left the state as we were on welfare to move back to California without notifying the welfare department that we were moving.
You were on welfare in Wisconsin.
We were not collecting money, Your Honor. We were collecting food stamps and we were collecting medical.
Benefits. You were collecting welfare benefits.
Yes.
Is that because you were unemployed?
I was unemployed at the time.
Who were you living with?
Nancy and I were renting a house.
Who paid for the rent on the house if you were unemployed?
We paid for the rent on the house.
How?
Because I got a job at installing garage doors. I wasn't employed the whole time. And it wasn't a sufficient amount of money to support the family. That's why we went for aid.
So your wife stayed at home with the children?
She did.
So you're telling me that they sued you for fraud for $4,800 because you left the state and they didn't have to pay you money anymore?
We basically left the state, and instead of tracking us down and figuring out that they wanted all of their benefits back, which totaled the $4,880.
Probably the only person in creation that I know that happens to. Usually they say, wow, they're out there with California's problem now. Now, Mr. Newens, how much do you owe in child support, sir?
$10,000 in child support and $10,000 in alimony.
How come you haven't paid any money?
Well, I've actually paid a lot of money, Your Honor. The reason being is because in the state of California, your ex-wife or whoever's receiving the support can go back at any time and ask for an audit of the payments, which she did. And I had a court order for my employers to pay her directly, which they did, but I had to prove it, and these two employers were no longer in business, so I could not find the record of payments.
So you're telling me that the judgment was entered against you and you have to pay arrears on $20,000 for money that you paid?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a lawyer representing you this time?
No, ma'am. But the litigation went for a whole year. Ma'am, I can't afford a lawyer. I work 60 hours a week to support 4 kids. My ex-wife, since the day we married, has not worked at all and still doesn't to this day. She solely relies on my support to support all 4 kids.
Let me ask you this question, Ms. Newens. Now we're going to come to you. He says that you were receiving partial benefits. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any idea why you were charged with welfare fraud?
It was explained to me when, without notifying the county about our moving, there was a warrant automatically slapped on because there was an outstanding amount that needed to be paid back, like $700 some odd.
For what?
For overpayment is what they called it.
So you were notified that you were received an overpayment of $700 while you were living in Wisconsin?
Yes.
And you left without paying that amount?
Yes. They were charging us interest and stuff because of penalties on that.
Now, your former husband says that he paid you this money, this $10,000 in child support and $10,000 in alimony. Is that true, that he's paid you this money?
I have, Your Honor, from the month, some partial payments, and for the last month of October, I received...
Look at me. Now you can speak.
Okay, I'm sorry. $29.90 for the month of October. $500 for the month of September, and before that, nothing. Payments are coming, and they partial payments, whole payments, every now and then, off and on through the last couple of years.
Did they come right out of his check?
He's self-employed.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I would suggest you find yourself some way of earning a living that you enjoy, because otherwise you're going to be relying on him forever. And that's wrong.
And later today,
he had planned to get married, and there was an issue in that I was still married and needed to get a divorce.
That's what Ms. Harris said.
Yeah.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Todd Newen says ex-wife Nancy Newens owes for an unpaid loan for bail after they both were arrested for welfare fraud. Nancy says Todd doesn't pay his child support.
How long have you been self-employed, Mr. Newens?
Roughly 3 years.
So when you say that your employer, what employer are you talking about that you couldn't find?
The court order dates back to 1997. The amount in arrears they're asking for was for 97 and 98.
Just those 2 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so this proceeding had nothing to do with current arrears for the year 2000, 2001, 2002. Is that what you're telling me?
What they, I have a court order here that I got from them. What they dated it from 6 of 97 to 10/1 of 02 to make it current.
I asked you a question. The question I asked you was whether you were telling me that the arrears that they were talking about, that you just had a trial on, dealt with monies that you owed. You said from 97 and 98.
Correct.
And I said that they conducted a whole hearing for a year and didn't bring that amount up to the current date for arrears, and you said, oh, I have the order. And the order says that those were arrears that you owe from 97 to the year 02.
The reason why they did that, Your Honor, is because we were fighting for the last year in court over the amount of arrears. And it was my burden to prove that all my previous employers paid.
All right, forget the previous employees from 97 to 98. She says she has been receiving sporadic payments. Is that true? And now you're self-employed.
Yes, it is true.
Sometimes it's true. All right, that's what I wanted to know.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I'm going to get to it, Mr. Newens. Don't pussyfoot around me. Are you remarried?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. You have children with your new wife?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, let's start with August of 2002. How much money did you send to your former wife for child support and alimony in August of 2002?
Your Honor, I don't have that information with me, and the reason why I don't have that information with me is because it's quite irrelevant, because I have an order that you have before you stating the amount I have to pay in arrears of $200 per month.
That's perfect. So what are you bothering me for?
I'm asking for money owed that I can't, that I paid $4,880 for, that I can't get credit through the County of San Bernardino for child support, which had she not agreed to credit me half, I would have never made the payment. We would have flew back to Wisconsin and fought this battle in court.
So then I'm going to resolve it very quickly for you, sir.
Okay.
From 1992 to 1994, according to you, you had 2 young children, and your former wife was unemployed. She was taking care of the children. It was therefore your responsibility, your contractual responsibility with your former wife to be the provider. You found that you could not be a provider for your wife and your 2 young children, so you were forced to apply to the state for certain benefits. Then you were advised that there was an overpayment of $700. Rather than taking care of that part of your financial responsibility before you left the state of Wisconsin, you decided to leave the state of Wisconsin and move to California. It was because of that that they issued a warrant for the both of you. You paid that amount. That's not for child support. That's not for spousal support. That's to reimburse the state for money that the state expended on behalf of you and your family because you could not fulfill your end of the contractual marital responsibility with your former wife. And in addition to that, you have continued to accrue arrears over the years, the last 3 years when you've been self-employed. Sometimes you pay, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you send a little, sometimes you send a lot. That doesn't excuse you from working at some point. Are you working now?
Yes, I am.
Good. What kind of work do you do?
Right now I do child care. And in the past I was doing dental assisting.
Well, I would suggest you find yourself some way of earning a living that you enjoy.
Exactly.
And if it's not childcare, because childcare sometimes is a temporary thing that you do when your children are very little, because that's a way to take care of your responsibility as a stay-at-home parent and also make some extra money. But I'm going to strongly urge you to find a career that you like, because otherwise you're going to be relying on him forever. And that's wrong for your support. You both have to support these children. You both made them now. You're not living together. You're not married. You both have to support them. But she certainly isn't going to give you back $2,400 for money that you owe the state of Wisconsin, sir. Your complaint's dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Nancy's been on a free ride for many years, refusing to work.
It should be said and done, and it was over in court beforehand.
After she got out of jail, she's freed, the bill's paid. It's the heck with me.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Griffin versus Harris. Step forward, please.
Sales rep Aaron Griffin is suing his ex-girlfriend, nurse's aide Darlene Harris, for the return of his personal property and for having him falsely arrested. Darlene says Aaron broke into her apartment.
Mr. Griffin, you are suing the defendant, who was your former girlfriend, because you say she had you falsely arrested for burglarizing her property, when what you were actually trying to do was to get some of your stuff out because she had thrown you out. Ms. Harris said that you did in fact break in, and all the property that you wanted belonged to her. Is that right?
Right.
Were you living together?
I had my own home.
Is that right?
No, he was living in my house.
Did he also have his own home?
Well, yes.
What was your stuff doing in her apartment?
We had decided to spend 2 weeks together. After a few days, I recognized that she didn't have some items. She didn't have a television in the bedroom. She didn't have a living room set. So I decided to move some of my belongings from my home over to her residence.
What did you move over?
I brought over my living room set, a television.
Which consisted of what?
Consisted of a cherry oak table, 8 chairs. I also brought over a 19-inch television, a portable CD player, my clothing, some dishes, glasses, silverware, and also...
She didn't have any of that stuff?
She had some of it, but incomplete sets.
She didn't have enough for you to eat off of for 2 weeks?
Well, I wanted to assist, and as I said...
You wanted to assist in what?
Assist her in some of the items that she didn't have.
And so after 2 weeks, it didn't work out. What happened, Mr. Griffin?
Well, we had planned to get married, and there was an issue in that I was still married and needed to get a divorce.
That's what Ms. Harris said.
Yeah.
That's what Ms. Harris said. She said when you brought the 8 chairs in, she didn't know you still had 8 chairs and a wife. Okay, so what happened?
She didn't apparently want to wait until I could get a divorce. So I decided that it was time for me to move out. That Monday morning, we had one final argument, and I left, but I did leave my belongings in the residence. The argument had gotten very bitter, and I decided that it was just best if I leave at that point.
That was smart.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Upon my return, I found that the defendant was not in her residence and the door was locked. I did have she had given me a key when I first arrived from Texas.
But she took the key off the ring.
Right, unbeknownst to me.
How do you retrieve your articles?
Well, actually, I came in through the side window. I kind of pushed it up and climbed in.
But how do you get them? You brought over table, chairs, TVs, CDs. Where were you going to put all this stuff?
Well, I was going to place all of the items that I could carry into my vehicle.
What kind of vehicle do you have?
A Mercury Sable.
Is it one of those expandable Mercury Sables?
No, Your Honor. It's average size.
So you weren't planning too well?
I guess not, no.
So what happened? You crawl into the house and you open up a window, crawl into the house, and what happened next, sir?
I commenced to packing my clothing and my luggage, and the doorbell rang. And when the doorbell rang, I went to the door thinking it was the defendant.
It wasn't the defendant, it was the...
Police, right. It was the police upon me opening the door, but I thought it was the defendant.
Okay, what you thought. What you thought was irrelevant.
Okay.
It's okay, so you opened the door and it was the police. Go ahead.
Correct. They asked me what my name was. I said Aaron Griffin. They said, "You're now under arrest." and they charged me with burglary. The defendant indicated that she didn't know me. That I
Really?
had broken in.
Just a second. Did you tell the police you didn't know him?
No. 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 I never told. No.
Should have told him to call his wife. She knows him.
Very well.
Were you there when she said she didn't know you?
They were actually leading me down the stairs of the porch.
And?
She was standing in front of the house with the police.
Yes.
She said she didn't know me, that I had broken in.
That's pretty nasty if you did it.
I never said that. I never said that.
Okay. So let's talk about this report that you made to the police. Tell me about that.
I was coming up my street with my sister-in-law, and I saw his vehicle in my driveway. Shouldn't have been in my driveway because I had taken the key off the key ring. I was scared. We had an argument, you know, and I was...
So you called the police?
I called the police, and they met me at my house. They saw the window, and they arrested him.
They saw the window what?
It was broken.
How was it broken? The glass was broken?
Yes.
Did you break the glass?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Oh, you've left that out. You said you just pushed the window up a little bit. So you broke the window to get in?
Yes, I did.
That's not false arrest. You can't do that. It's not your house. You can't break a window to get in. So that takes care of your false arrest charge. Now you want all your furniture back.
Yes, I do.
Table, 8 chairs, 19-inch television, CD, dishes. You have all that stuff?
No, I do not.
Where is it?
I put it into the trash. I got rid of it.
Oh, no, Miss Harris, listen to me. You know how I caught him in fibs? That's a fib. You want to tell me what you did with his table and 8 chairs?
That's what I did with it.
Well,
I woke up one day and I was upset and I didn't want any reminder of him in my house, and I put that stuff out.
You put it out? Good.
Yes.
You pay for it. That was the wrong thing to do.
Well,
that was the wrong thing to do.
We were getting married and had a wife.
Listen to me. That was the wrong thing for you to do. You acted impulsively, and it was the wrong thing to do, so you have to pay for it.
Your Honor.
A, I don't believe that you just took it outside and threw it out. You may have given it to somebody.
Well, people in the neighborhood, I'm sure they came and took the stuff up off the curb.
Including
but
the
that's
television?
Exactly what,
including the television set?
Yes.
That's fine, then you pay for it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,250. But that's it, Mr. Griffin. That's all.
This is case number 267 on the calendar in the matter of Bricker versus McLeod. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Ms. Bricker, while you and the defendant were in a relationship, it is your claim that you financed a car for him.
That's correct.
With the understanding that he was going to make all the payments, and when all the payments were made, the title would be placed in his name. He missed a payment. You took the car back. The time you... Yes, according to your complaint, madam, that's what you say. You say part of your agreement was that if he missed one payment, you would take the car back. He missed a payment, you took the car back. When you took the car back, it had a bad transmission, and you want him to pay for the transmission, and that he owes you money for furniture. Now, is anything that I said incorrect?
He missed the payment in December.
I don't care when he missed it. He missed a payment.
Right, correct. But I did not get the car back until...
I don't care when you got the car back. The reason you took the car back is because he missed a payment.
He asked me if I wanted the car back. I did not take the car back from him. I sent him a certified letter stating that he could keep the car because I didn't want it back because I knew the transmission was damaged.
So why did you take it back?
He called and asked me if I wanted the car back. And so that's exactly what I did. I said, then fine, if you don't want the car, then give it back to me. So,
Miss Bricker, you have the car.
Correct.
You want him to pay you for the bad transmission.
Correct.
He made all the payments for the car except one.
Correct.
That's what I said.
Okay.
And you claim that you made a loan to him for furniture. He says it was never a loan for furniture. You bought some furniture for his house, but that was of your own volition. There was never a discussion of it being a loan. And you were really being sort of spiteful in taking back the car because he made all of the payments. For how long, sir?
For 11 months.
One payment he missed, and it wasn't even the last payment. It was a payment several months before. And he thought that you forgave that missed payment, and if you had asked him for it, he would have given it to you. So he is counterclaiming. He's counterclaiming for all the money he put into the car. That's what this case is about. Where is the car?
He has it right now.
I have it right now.
You do?
Yeah.
What do you have it for?
Because she told me if I started making payments on it, that she would allow me to continue to make payments on it.
That is not true.
That is
you
true.
have the car now.
I have the car now.
Good, so your counterclaim's dismissed, right? Because you have the car. Right? What do you look so stunned for? What do you look stunned for? You're counterclaiming for the car payments because you say you want all the money back.
As long as
you have the car back. That was your agreement.
Because it wasn't ever my intention to give her the car back. I wanted to keep making payments on it.
That's what you're going to do, right?
Right.
So you're withdrawing your counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay, and you're withdrawing that part of your claim that deals with the transmission for the car because you didn't have it fixed. Is that right?
The reason he has the car back is because his dad's truck broke down that he was using. He called up and asked if he could rent the car from me, and I said fine. He gave me $50 on Wednesday to rent the car from me because he had no transportation to take his kids to and from school.
Ms. Bricker, did you pay any money to fix the transmission on the car?
Over $3,800, yes, I did.
Let me see the bill.
Your Honor. Your Honor.
There's also another. The transmission became disabled, and there was a statement that said from his mechanic that said that the car was going to need a new transmission. A year later is when I paid for the new transmission. After he called me and told me, you can have the car back. Here's the receipts.
I just want to see the bill
Your
for
Honor.
the transmission.
Your Honor. I intended on making payments on it and getting the transmission fixed, and she makes it seem like I just gave the car back because it was broken.
That's exactly.
That's not correct.
The car back.
We broke up.
I don't care. I don't care. You have to pay her for having the car fixed if you want it back.
I was going to pay that.
Good. Now let's hear about the furniture.
In October, I came into some money, a lot of money. And what ended up happening is he was getting ready to move out from where he was currently living with his 2 small children, and he was moving into a new place. And I wanted things nice. He had old furniture for the kids. He had absolutely nothing, no pots and pans, hardly anything in the house, because most of the stuff was missing after his divorce from his wife or separation. And so what I did, and he agreed to this, I said, here's some furniture that's for sale. I said, it's $125. It was a 7-piece, you know, couch, sofa, love seat, coffee table, lamp, the whole thing. And I said, do you want this? And he said, yes. And I go, well, I'll pay it, and then and you'll pay me back. And that was the agreement. I wasn't buying this for him. I gave him other gifts other than.
We're talking about $125?
No. It's not more. It's more than that. It's stuff for the bathroom that I purchased.
All gifts.
It was not gifts.
Shh, don't speak to her. What do you need stuff for the bathroom? What's stuff for the bathroom?
Stuff for the bathroom, shower curtains, towels, clothes for the kids, dressers, all of that stuff. I paid for everything, and he agreed that he would pay me back for all of this.
Show me.
I have it.
Show me.
What do you want me to show you? He said, send me statements, and I did. I started sending them back in March to them, and I have copies of the statements that I started sending.
You have something on that recording that says that he acknowledges that debt?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to hear it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Money only came up when we separated.
I'm not interested in that explanation. You were giving her money for a long time.
That's what I want to say. The only time when she asked for something is when we broke up.
You're slick.
And later today.
I went and picked up the truck. I had legal right to do so.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Well, I got court ordered to do so.
Oh, well, let me see the court order.
I don't have it on me.
Well, then you don't have it. Then you don't have it. If you don't have it with you, then you don't have it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Victoria Bricker says ex-boyfriend Alfonso McLeod owes for car damages and for an unpaid loan for furniture.
All right. Let me hear the tape, please.
Number 8 at 5:26 a.m.
Do you think hanging up on me is going to make you get paid any quicker? But like I said before, you are such an immature child and hung up the phone. I'm willing to give you your money back that I owe you. I'm also willing to give you $50 a month to ensure that you get paid and receive every last penny that I owe you. But if you don't think that that's good enough, why don't you just go ahead and take me to court? And then that way we'll find out which you will ultimately end up receiving. Either it's going to be all or it's going to be nothing. So those are your 2 options. You let me know what you want to do. You can go ahead and call me during my bad power hours. You can go ahead and tell me what you think about that, okay? Bye-bye.
Okay, now I'll hear you.
Oh, every other conversation, she's like, well, where's my money? Where's my money? Where's my money? Money only came up when we separated.
I'm not interested in that explanation. September 8th, you said I'm going to give you back all the money that I owe you.
And I was referring to the car.
How many more months do you have to pay her out?
About between 30 and 36.
You mean pay to the bank?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'm willing to do that.
You're slick. Tell me about the things that you purchased for the house, because you're entitled to have your say. I'm not interested in what you have to say. I'm interested in what he has to say right now. Tell me about the things that you purchased for the house and how that came
Okay.
about.
I had furniture, I had a TV, whatnot, blah, blah. You know, she's like, well, this is old stuff.
Were you dating at the time?
Yes.
When did you move?
December of 2001. Well, we had broken up 3 times since then, but we were still dating.
You were dating in December of 2001 when you moved. Is that correct, Miss Bricker?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I had my furniture in there, but as she says, it was old, so she offered to get new furniture. I said, okay. And she knew my situation. She knew that I was going through a divorce and that I'm paying child support for 3 other children. I'm raising my 2 daughters by myself. So she offered to buy this furniture among other items that I felt were considered gifts. Well, if you have money to go ahead and pay me back, then go ahead. I can't pay you all at once. It's okay. Just give me money when you can. Okay.
Is that what she said to you?
Yes.
And is that what you said to her?
Yes.
So you were paying her back for the furniture?
Yes, if I had...
Shh! Listen to me. Just answer my question. You were paying her back for the furniture?
Yes.
Why did you stop?
Actually, I didn't stop, Your Honor.
Well, when was the last time you paid her any money for the furniture?
I would say probably in July.
Let me see.
Well, here's a bank statement, too, that shows the highlighted parts, or the things that are highlighted is the payments that I put into her account.
Okay, you made the car payment, so the last time you made payment was you're right, in July, for the other things.
Yes. Can I say something?
No! Because you're all over the place, sir. You have to have a defense. Your defense is either it was a gift, or your defense was that I don't have any more money, but you say it was a gift, but I did make payments. You don't make payments on a gift.
I was giving her money because that's what she asked for.
You were giving her money for a long time.
That's what I want to say. The only time when she asked for something is when we broke up. Everything was okay when we're together. And when we broke up, it's like, I want my car back.
How many children do you have?
5.
Is that her fault?
No, it's not her fault.
It's not her fault, sir, if you have to work 5 jobs because you made 5 children. It's not her fault. You don't take on responsibilities, borrow money that you can't pay back. You don't make more children than you can afford to take care of. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good.
She wanted the car back when we...
I didn't ask you anything else. Does this 3842 include the car?
Yes. I subtracted the payment.
Just answer my question.
Yes,
does that
it
say
does.
yes?
Yes, it does include the car.
Car and the furniture?
Yes, it does.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of 3842. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
You get involved with somebody, you make mistakes, you come from an honest place, and they don't.
Next time you get a girlfriend like that, make sure you have everything in writing.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Nealon versus Miller. Step forward, please.
Elizabeth Nealon is suing her boyfriend's wife, student Desiree Miller, for the value of a truck and for the return of a down comforter.
Miss Nealon, you have a boyfriend.
Yes, I do.
And what's his name? And also happens to be the defendant's husband.
That's correct.
I assume you are separated from your husband. Is that right?
Yes, we are.
How long have you been separated from your husband?
Off and on, about 3 years.
And how long were you actually living together?
Well, we've been married for 10.
So you lived together for 7?
Correct.
And you've been separated for 3. According to your complaint, Miss Nealon, you and your boyfriend had a truck. The defendant took the truck and sold it, or junked it. She needed some money. You want to be reimbursed for the truck, as well as for a comforter that was in the truck. I assume that that's the comforter in question.
Mm-hmm.
Defendant says she had a right to take the truck. It was purchased 6 years ago when they were still living together. It was her husband's truck. She needed money. She had a right to take it and sell it, even though it wasn't in her name. That's your defense?
Pretty much, yes.
Let me see the title to the truck.
Your Honor, I also have papers here that show that they were legally separated when the truck was purchased originally.
Doesn't make any difference. Where did you take the truck from?
From my father-in-law's house.
How did you get it?
I went over there and drove it because he had messed with my car. My car was inoperable. So therefore, when he got incarcerated, I went and picked up the truck. I had legal right to do so. It was community property.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Well, I got court ordered to do so.
Oh, well, let me see the court order.
I don't have it on me.
Well, then you don't have it. Then you don't have it. If you don't have it with you, then you don't have it. Now, this car is registered in her name alone.
Prior to the registration being due, my husband had warrants out for his arrest.
I don't care. The car is registered in her name alone.
But when I took the truck, it was not registered to her and her alone.
How do I know that?
Well, she mumble-jumbled some paperwork around so she could take it out of his name so that she's sole registered owner, so then she could turn around and try to press GTA charges.
Wait just a second. Let me see the former title to the car, madam.
And I would like to add to Your Honor that she didn't drive the truck. She has her own vehicle.
Doesn't make any difference.
It doesn't make a difference. That's
no,
correct.
not at all.
But it was community property between my husband and I. He stole my vehicle, and I was told there was nothing I could do about it. It was community property. I couldn't make no report, do nothing about it. We're legally married.
Listen to me. You don't know, and the law doesn't know, whether or not he sold the vehicle. Let us say, instead of transferring the title to her, he sold the car, which was only in his name, to a third person. He sold it to Byrd. Put your papers away, please, madam.
Sorry.
Under your theory, you had a right to go to Byrd's house, take the truck, and junk it.
No.
Under your theory, you said it's community property. He has no right to transfer the title to somebody else.
I had already had possession of the vehicle when his name was removed and her name was the sole registered owner. I had already had possession of the vehicle.
On what date?
I don't recall the date.
Give me the month.
I don't know, last month, a month and a half ago.
Give me the month.
The month, well, what's this, October, so I'd say August.
Is that when you took the truck from your father-in-law's house?
Yes.
What did you do with the truck when you took it from your father?
I drove the truck, and within
For how long?
Maybe a month, about a month. Somebody had filled the gas tank. I mean, completely filled the gas tank with sugar. On top of that, we paid $1,600 for the truck 6 years ago. Not a dime has been invested into that truck since then, but what my passed away mother put into it, which was clutch and brakes.
You drove the truck for a month.
Correct.
And then it was rendered inoperable. Is that what you're telling me? What did you do with it after it was rendered inoperable?
Well, I gave it to the tow truck company for a ride home. The truck was completely worthless. When the engine was, and the body was shot out, and the truck was worthless.
Now, what do you know about this truck? Did it end up in a junkyard?
That's what I understand, but it's all hearsay. I really don't know what happened to it.
Did you ever check with the junkyard?
I called several junkyards and never was able to locate the truck.
Now, how much money did you pay for this truck?
$2,500.
Show me. This says that you are loaning him $2,500, dated August 20th. In lieu of the loan in return, he will put in my name the title of his truck until the loan is paid in full. If he fails to pay off the loan, he agrees the truck will be turned over to me for payment in full. He will begin making payments of $250 a month to commence upon his employment, and you both agree he should be employed no later than the middle of August and should have made at least one full payment by the end of August. Show me where you took out the $2,500 from.
I didn't bring my bank statements with me.
That's too bad. That is too bad.
I brought everything else. I thought that was going to be sufficient.
It's not.
And Your Honor,
I have to believe you that you gave him $2,500. I don't believe that. I don't believe it. Now, what was he incarcerated for?
She made false allegations of him stalking her.
False. They're on.
Is he still incarcerated?
Yes, ma'am, he is.
Was he convicted or is he waiting trial?
He's awaiting trial.
When was the last time you saw him?
Last weekend.
Do you go every weekend to see him?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
Right now I'm unemployed. She had me fired from my job.
What kind of work do you do? You're unemployed.
Sales.
And when was the last time you were employed on a full-time basis?
Was August 17th.
What kind of work were you doing?
Selling satellite television.
Where do you live now?
I live in Anaheim with my mother, who I take care of. She has Alzheimer's disease.
How long did you have that job that you lost in August?
Approximately 2.5 years.
Okay, Ms. Nealon, let me tell you this. I'm dismissing your claim with leave for you to come back and refile within 1 week.
Okay.
If you can establish to my satisfaction that you actually gave him $2,500 from a withdrawal from the bank, therefore that you actually paid in due course something for this truck, I will entertain your action again.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Not a problem.
Other than that, you get nothing. Because other than that, What happened was, truck was turned over to you to keep it out of her hands. She took it. She says it was community property. I don't know if I believe it was community property. She also has the right to bring me this order that she says it was in existence, which she also conveniently doesn't have, that allowed her to take the truck. But more importantly, from your perspective, I want to see that you gave, what's his name? $2,500 for anything. Do you understand? Sure. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, this is case number 377 on the calendar in the matter of Liebert versus Bowen. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Are you ladies really involved in this case? You're not the actual plaintiff or defendant, so why don't you sit down, because this has to do with the gentleman. Mr. Liebert, is this your wife?
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that the defendant, who was a neighbor of yours, assaulted you. You want to be compensated for that assault. You lost wages, your medical bills, pain and suffering. Mr. Bowen says that no, it was you who attacked him, and he is counterclaiming. How long have you been neighbors?
Probably the last 3 years.
Right. I gather from the answer in the complaint in this case that there was some trouble after someone reported someone else to the Environmental Protection Agency. Now, who did that reporting?
I did, Your Honor.
Tell me why.
Because of the continuous problem of that we don't have no sewers on the street, so they have a salvage yard, or he stores cars, whatever, and when he does that, they take engines out and they salvage their parts in their driveway, and then they inadvertently wash it out, and it comes across my driveway. And then, if last year we had been in a drought...
You're talking about the oil and...
The oil and all of his stuff that comes across my driveway. My driveway is continuously muddy. So I asked the plaintiff...
Muddy from dirt or oil?
Oil, antifreeze, whatever comes out of a car when you salvage it.
So because you had this oil and sludge on your property, you reported him to the Environmental Protection Agency. Yes. And what happened as a result of that, Mr. Liebert?
Nothing, as far as I know. I have not received anything.
Did you get a ticket?
No.
Did somebody come out there and look at your property?
As far as I know, no.
Did you know about his complaint?
Yes, I have.
Well, how did you know about his complaint?
Well, I was washing the car one day, and the water ran to his driveway.
Right.
So that's the first time I heard his complaint about it.
Well, what did you do after he complained to you that all of this schmutz was ending up on his property? What did you do?
Well, I don't wash every day, so I didn't, you know.
You didn't change the way you did business?
No, I was just washing the car only. And I don't do it maybe once a month.
He's not talking about washing cars. He's talking about salvaging cars.
I don't salvage cars.
You don't take cars apart?
No. If I do anything, it's in the garage. I do not have a permit.
I'm not sure whether I believe that. All right. Tell me what happened, Mr. Liebert.
Yes, ma'am. I was in the backyard, and I heard my dad yelling, and I come out to see what he was yelling about, and he said the neighbor swerved his car towards him when he was walking up the hill. And I came out there, and the neighbor, Mr. Bowen, come running up the hill, and we started yelling back and forth. And then once he started yelling back and forth, I told him I didn't want no problems, and he spit in my face. So I took him to the ground.
How did you do that?
Just wrestled him to the ground, then I let him back up. He gets in my face again, and he goes and, motions to swing at me. I took him to the ground again, and I started hitting him. I hit him about 6 times.
So, according to you, he spit at you first.
Yes, ma'am.
You took him down to the ground.
Yes, ma'am.
He got up.
Yeah.
He again got in your face, which means he didn't hit you, but he got in your face yelling. You took him down again and started to hit him, and hit him at least 6 times.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
Well, when the first time I took him down, my glasses slid off, and I never recovered them. Then I let him up again. I backed off. He tries kicking me again.
No, you didn't say he
he tries kicking me.
You didn't tell me that before,
No.
sir.
No,
All you did was say he got in your face.
He tries kicking me. And I grab his foot, and he dropped to the ground again. I stood back. He picks up a rock and throws it at my father that was looking for my glasses.
So he threw a rock after you would hit him 6 times?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, and then
Where did you hit him, by the way?
I don't know, probably maybe the face.
And when you hit him with your fist?
Yes, ma'am.
So then he got up and he threw a rock?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Meanwhile, I was looking for my glasses. He kept on throwing rocks. One bounce hit me in the shin, and then one hit me directly in the rib cage.
And that's the assault that you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like you to tell me your version of these events, Mr. Bowen.
Well, on the date of August 29th, I was coming home from work approximately about 4:30 p.m., and I noticed Mr. Liebert, he was walking up the road in the middle of the road, and the road in question is very narrow. There was nowhere for me to go either side of the road, and when I seen him, I was pretty close. As I observed him, he bent over and picked up what I thought to be a rock. So I didn't have no choice but to stop, so I hit my brakes, and as I stopped, Mr. Liebert come rushing up to my door with a rock in his hand. I didn't know what to do, so I started to open the door. He run up and pushed my door shut, and when he pushed it shut, he fell down. I then pushed my door open and got out. Still not knowing what to do, he had a rock in his hand, was getting up, so I picked me up a rock. I said, hey, what's the problem? I'm just got home from work, what is your problem? You know, and he'd been saying he's gonna get me for all these things I've been turning him in for. And he's just, yeah, I'm tired of you yelling. I can't even tell you all what he was yelling at me. So we had our altercations. My sister and my
What do you mean you had your altercations? What does that mean?
We were arguing back and forth. So
just
then,
verbally?
After it was over, he walked back up on his property, continued to throw rocks. I said, I had enough of this. I said, Suze, which my sister was standing right there, I said, Suze, I will be back up to talk to you because we were leaving to go to Flintstone Park to take my girlfriend and her 2 kids on vacation to see Flintstones. So, I'm sorry, so I got down there, I walked back up the hill to talk to my sister. When I got back up there, Mr. Liebert come out, and as he come down, he was yelling at me what my problem was. He spit from about 10 or 15 feet away, hit me right in the face, so I took my glasses off, and I no sooner got my glasses off and he rushed me. He grabbed me by the arm, pushed me straight back down the hill and fell on top of me. At this point, there was nothing I could do. My arms were trapped underneath me. The only thing was left was my arm on the side. I thought he was getting in a lot of punches. As Ada and all the other witnesses said, he was on top of me and is kicking me in the head and the ribs. And well, at that point, my girlfriend come up, jumped on his back, started punching him in the back. Denise came up with the cell phone, started hitting him on the head. That inadvertently called my sister, which she heard all the commotion. She called the cops. That's how the cops got called. Then after that, they let me up. When I got up, Mr. Liebert was attempting to hit me with a rock, so I run out into the field to get away from him. And when I got out in the field, he chased me, pulled my shirt down over my head, and as I was trying to fight him, I fell down, and Miss Junior come running up and kicked me again in the ribs as I was on the ground. I got up, and the altercation it pretty much ended after that.
Okay. Now, I understand from your complaint that you have a videotape of this incident. Is that right?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Hi! I'm in my yard. Hi! Go!
That's you hitting him pretty good, sir.
Yes.
Crankhead, that's right. Crankhead. Hope you guys like to get sued.
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
And later today,
your husband went to shoot some of your neighbor's dogs with a BB gun.
Before that, he came back into the house and got a real gun and pointed it at the neighbors.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mark Liebert says neighbor David Bowen assaulted him during an argument. David says Mark started the fight.
Let's start it from the top, please, Byrd. Now, you're in the red shirt, is that right?
Yep.
All right, it's getting camcorded! Camcorded! We got it all on camcorder. I got it all, honey. I always do. Hi. I'm in my yard. Hi, go. Yeah. Hi.
No.
Dude, you need to get off.
Who is that?
Whatever. Yeah.
Who is that?
His sister's friend.
That's you hitting him pretty good, sir.
Yes.
That's you
I got
punching
about
him pretty
6 hits.
good.
I got about 6 hits on him.
Where's your gun at now, Dave?
See, I let him up. There's my glasses right there. The little girl's got my glasses again.
Who cares?
Okay.
There we go, watch.
Yeah, you yours. Stay off each other. Get out of my yard. You want to get out of my yard throwing rocks at my husband?
This ain't your yard.
Yeah, it is. That's my driveway. My driveway.
Shut up, you
says. Quit your sister, y'all her. Crankhead, that's right. Crankhead. That's all you do is your brother's cousin and sister. Okay, I'm not talking about your family, you freaks. We're done when I say we're done. Whatever, freak, crankhead. You guys are crank. Whatever. Yeah. I don't let you drive. Yeah, that's all right. I know where you live. That's all right. You're shaking right now, too. Whatever. Hope you guys like to get sued.
That's bad. That is bad. A lot of it was not necessary, yes.
Absolutely right. Most of it was unnecessary.
Yes,
you both acted very badly that day, don't you think so?
Yes, ma'am.
So why are you here? Why are you getting me involved in this? Why are you getting the judicial system involved in your bad behavior?
I would like to get my doctor bills paid for and my glasses.
I would like to be 5'6". God didn't do that for me. Why are you encumbering a judicial system with nonsense where you have two neighbors who each individually acted badly, whose wives and sisters and friends all acted inappropriately, instead of sitting down and saying, boy, I acted like a real jerk, and I don't want anybody to view a tape of my acting like an idiot. My wife acting, it was your wife who was videotaping that, acting like a lowlife, gutter snipe, speaking like a gangster. Why would I want to share that with anybody else? I want to keep that private because I'm so humiliated by the way my family behaved that day. Instead, you decide to come to court to sue for your medical bills. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Certain things we do in private.
Yes, ma'am.
We go to the bathroom in private. Please. We make love in private. Right? We have family squabbles in private. But if you behave badly and your family behaved badly, it's something that you don't want to expose to the rest of the world. You want to say it's a bad episode, I'm going to learn something from it, put a period at the end of it, right? Not expose myself and my family to worldwide scrutiny. You think that people looking at this tape think that you're a nice family?
No.
Think that she's a nice person?
No.
Listen to me, sir. You behave badly. And if you're going to have to live next to each other, then you have to do the right thing. So the first thing you have to do is not do anything on your property that interferes with the enjoyment that somebody else has of their property. And if you're washing cars on your property, and if because of the way the terrain is, it accumulates dirt and smudge and oil and other schmutz on his property, you have to find somewhere else to wash your cars.
Yes, Your Honor.
And if you're going to be a reasonable neighbor, that's what you do. And if you don't, and if you want to continue to have negative interactions with your neighbors so that you and your wife and your father act inappropriately, that's what's going to happen. Don't expect the justice system to support you. We have other more important things to do than support bad behavior. And if you have a problem, then what I suggest you do is you report him to the appropriate authorities, and eventually they will come out and they'll do whatever is necessary, but you don't act like a hooligan. So I say to both of you, both your cases are dismissed. Your claim and your counterclaim. Act like adults, responsible adults. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I pretty much got this whooped out of me.
We acted inappropriately.
I'm just going to have to do what I have to do, live with them.
We got to get along.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of LeBron versus Pat Byrd. Step forward, please.
Receptionist Peggy LeBron is suing former friend, mechanical engineer Greg Patbird, for walking through a plate glass window in her home. Peggy says Greg was drunk on vodka.
This case is really sort of interesting. Miss LeBron, your husband was arrested.
Yes.
Because he went to shoot some of your neighbor's dogs with a BB gun.
Correct.
And as the police were taking him away, he told you to go and get the defendant, who was a bail bondsman.
Well, before that, Your Honor, he came back into the house. He got into an altercation with the neighbors because they saw him shooting at their dog. He came back into the house and got a real gun and pointed it at the neighbors.
Oh, so this time he pointed a real gun.
Correct.
Bottom line is, as the police were taking him away, he told you to go get the defendant, who was a bail bondsman.
No, he knows bail bondsman.
Or he knows bail bondsman. So what did you do? Where did you go to get him?
He lived right around the corner from our house.
So according to you, you went and you got him and you invited him over to your house.
Correct.
And he sat there all day drinking vodka and orange juice. And he got drunk and proceeded to break a plate glass door in your house. And you want him to pay for the door.
Yes,
That's what this case is about. Do you understand?
I heard it. I just don't.
All right. Now, Miss LeBron, I have a couple of questions for you. They take your husband away. You go around the corner and you get Mr. Patberg. And what do you say to him?
I said that my husband was just arrested and that he wanted me to come get him because he knows bail bondsman.
And he said, okay, I'll come to your house?
Correct.
Now, did he come back to the house with you?
Yes.
What time of the day or evening was this?
It was early in the morning.
Now, when he got there, what did he say to you?
He called a bail bondsman.
And did he make arrangements?
Well, they had to wait until my husband was processed.
Now, where did he get this vodka from?
I don't remember exactly where he got it that day.
I'm talking about that day. That's the day that he...
He always drinks vodka.
No, I understand that. I don't understand that he always drinks vodka. I'm talking about that day. That's the day when he broke the door. You say he sat in your house all day.
Mm-hmm.
Until what time?
Until after my husband was brought back to the house later that night.
So he was drinking all day?
Correct.
Whose vodka was he drinking?
His own. I don't drink vodka.
So he brought the bottle with him?
He would have had to have.
Where'd you get the vodka from?
I believe we went out later in the day and purchased it.
What do you mean you believe?
Well...
Shh! What do you mean you believe? You got drunk. That was clear. That's what she says. That's what you say.
Yes, that's correct.
And you were drinking all day?
No, I was not drinking all day.
A part of the day?
A part of the day.
Where did you get the vodka from, is my question.
From the liquor store.
Where was the liquor store?
Well, less than a mile away.
How did you get there?
Peggy gave me a ride.
Did you give him a ride to the liquor store?
I could have. I have before.
Were you drinking too?
Not vodka.
I don't care what you were drinking. Were you drinking too?
Beer.
So you don't remember whether you gave him a ride to the store? You could have.
I could have.
Let's say you did. Miss LeBron, you allowed him to get drunk in your house. What do you want from me? Should have said, take your vodka and go home. You're lucky he's not suing you for almost killing himself going through your plate glass door. This is a very easy lesson. If you allow someone to become inebriated in your house, and in this case, you don't even remember because you were probably so looped yourself you don't even remember getting in your car and taking him to the liquor store. But if you permit him to get so drunk in your house that he staggers through a plate glass door, you are responsible. Totally responsible. You're not supposed to furnish a place where somebody can get so intoxicated that they can hurt themselves, certainly not cause damage to your place. They cause damage to your place. You pay for it. Goodbye.
This is case number 298 on the calendar in the matter of Sullivan versus Knighton. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Tell me your name.
Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy? Did you come up here? You come up here.
Can you make it up here? Oh, there you go. All right.
Hi.
Hi.
You have a big, strong voice. How old are you, Jimmy?
6 years old.
I have a couple of questions for you. You think you can think real hard so you can answer these questions? I understand that you got shot in the head with a BB. Can you tell me what happened?
I was in my yard.
You were in your yard?
And Chase had a BB gun shooting at a piece of foam.
Who had a BB gun? Chase?
Chase.
Is that little boy over there Chase? Is he your friend?
Yes, he was, but when he shot me with the BB gun, well, I had to go to the doctor, and when I got back home, Mom said I could never play with him again. And I stayed in the house.
It was an accident, though, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. He didn't mean to hurt you, did he? He did?
Yeah, he said, I'm going to shoot you. Now I'm going to really shoot you.
We have to talk to him about that, okay? Did you shake hands? Maybe we will later. I'm going to have to talk with him right now, okay? Okay, why don't you go step down?
There you go. Watch your step, partner.
Cute.
All right. See.
Chase, come on up here.
go.
Good. Hi.
Hi.
Chase, Jimmy is a friend of yours? Or he was?
He goes to my school.
And you're a nice boy? And he's a nice boy? Where'd you get this BB gun from?
From behind my papa's door.
That where your papa leaves it?
Now he leaves it in his closet.
And is the closet locked now? But he used to leave it just behind the door? So it's your grandpa's gun? Or your daddy's?
It's my dad's or my grandpa's.
But it used to be just behind the door. In whose room?
My papa's.
What were you doing with the BB gun when Jimmy got shot?
Shooting beer bottles with my next door neighbor.
And how old is your next door neighbor?
14.
Who was with you at home that day, Chase?
My grandma.
Just your grandma?
And my sister and brother.
And where was your daddy?
At work.
And your papa?
He was at work.
Did you ask permission to take the BB gun out? Are you supposed to ask permission? So you didn't do the right thing, right? You didn't mean to hurt Jimmy, did you? I didn't think so. What happened when your daddy found out that you had shot Jimmy with the BB gun? Did he tell you not to do that anymore?
Told not.
Would you like to sort of shake hands with Jimmy and maybe you could try to be friends again? What about you? Not ready to do that yet? Okay. Okay, Chase, why don't you go sit down next to your papa? So that's what this case is about. Right. This case is about one little boy who got shot in the head with a BB gun, and I gather from the complaint that the doctors have decided to leave the BB in his head rather than do some surgery. And Ms. Sullivan, what you want is you want the defendant to pay for all the medical bills that you have and some money for pain and suffering.
Correct.
I'm ready for your defense, sir.
Well, first of all, I think that this could have been stopped if she would have told me, first of all, that he had the BB gun, because when I went over there to talk to him, she told me, she said she seen Chase running around with a BB gun, waving it around. So I was just wondering, you know, when she told me that, why didn't she come to me and tell me that in the first place?
You were working.
I was not at work.
That's what he said.
I know, but he's mistaken.
So you were home?
I was at home. I was in the living room.
Oh, that's even worse. So you were at home.
Yes, ma'am.
In a situation where you were totally responsible for your sons having access to an instrument that could cause serious physical injury to somebody else that was not secured. You are 100% responsible for Jimmy's medical bills, out-of-pocket expenses. It was your responsibility. Is this your father?
Yes, ma'am.
Your father's responsibility to ensure that that BB gun was secured so that your 6-year-old son could take it and hurt anybody else or himself. You know that that's true. Now, I don't know whether Miss Sullivan could tell from this BB gun whether or not it was a toy or capable of hurting anybody, or whether it was loaded or not loaded. Who knows that? But you certainly knew that it was capable of causing injury, and your father certainly knew that, and both of you understood that it was not the right place to keep it, behind some door, and it's now secured in a place where he can't get it, right? Yeah. So it's secured now. It was a little too late. So let me see the bills. 1, 2, 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have an X-ray that indicates where this BB is?
I do.
Have you ever
pull
seen
one
that,
out?
Mr. Knight?
No, ma'am.
I'd like to take a look at it.
It's still in his head.
Is this the first time that your son has taken out that BB gun?
I don't think so.
How many times did you play with this BB gun?
One.
One time before this?
I played with it 2 times over at the next door neighbors. We're shooting beer bottles.
On a different day or the same day?
Different day.
So you had that BB gun out twice. And where was your daddy the first time you had it out? Did anybody know you had it out the first time?
I think it was at home, or it was at home.
Did your daddy know you had the gun out the first time you had it out, shooting beer bottles?
No.
How big is this gun?
About from here to here.
That's pretty big. Is it heavy?
My dad's is this long.
That's pretty heavy for you to carry, isn't it?
No, it was mine. It was my BB gun.
What does that mean?
His mom bought him the BB gun.
So this is his BB gun. It's not yours or your father's.
That's right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's going to give me a knife when I get 15.
If you're smart, you'll ask him to get you a microscope or a doctor's kit so that you can hope to be something that's really good and not a thug with a knife.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gail Sullivan says her 6-year-old son, Jimmy Johnson, was shot in the head with a BB gun. Gail says the shooter was her neighbor's son, 6-year-old Chase Knighton.
Where is his mother?
His mother is off somewhere.
Off?
She banded us.
Okay. When did she buy this BB gun?
Christmas.
She bought it for him. I didn't want him to have it. And he insisted. He cried about it because I know I never wanted him to have it in the first place. I knew he was too young. Should never have one. But
right. Your dad has to take that BB gun and put it away for a very long time.
Yeah.
So that you can't even touch it. Do you understand? Maybe when you're 15 or 16 years old, your daddy will be able to take it out. And when you're responsible enough to use it right, he'll be able to give it to you. But it's not the right thing for you to even hold it. Because you're not big enough yet to do that. Do you understand?
Yeah, he's going to give me a knife when I get 15.
A knife? I want to tell you what your papi's going to get you when you're 15. He's going to get you a microscope. If you're smart, you'll ask him to get you a microscope or a doctor's kit, you know, so that you can aspire to be something, so that you can hope to be something that's really good, you know, like a doctor or a lawyer and not a thug with a knife. That's not good. Do you understand? Not good. Certain things are good, certain things are not. What does your daddy do for a living? No. What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a warehouse manager.
He works in a warehouse and he's a manager. He manages a lot of other people and tells them where things go. He has a very important job. You think that he handles that job because he has a big knife? And you know what kind of a job your papi used to have?
He's told me he used to be a marshal.
A marshal? Is that right?
I'm a deputy marshal with Alabama Supreme Court.
See, so he has a job that's related to the law. Right? He's a deputy marshal in the court system. It's a very important job. And he doesn't need a knife for that job. Got to teach him the right thing. And if he wants the wrong thing, you have to sort of reorient him.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Can I say something? The knife he's talking about is one of those little knives with the fingernail file in it and the toothpick and everything.
By the time he gets to be 15, he's not going to want that knife.
Well, that'd be the only one he get.
Good. All right. Well, there's no question that you folks are responsible for these medical bills. There's no question in regards to that. I think that they were absolutely 100% negligent allowing this weapon to be in a position where he could get his hands on it. I have a feeling that these two gentlemen have a very full plate. I also think, Jimmy, that he's probably a very nice little boy. He did a bad thing, and you should really probably give him another chance. I think that that would be a nice thing to do. I really do. Because you're supposed to forgive somebody if they're really sorry. You are sorry for what happened, aren't you? He really is sorry. He would really like to be your friend. Think you're willing to give him another chance? I sort of like that idea. Come on.
Okay.
Give him one shake. Go ahead. That's good. See, that didn't hurt. Good. All right, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,654, which are the actual damages, another 1,000 punitive damages, $2,654. Thank you, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Chase knew that he wasn't supposed to take that gun out of the house. I don't know why he took it out.
Jimmy said he told him he was going to shoot him with a gun, and I feel like that this child shouldn't have had the gun.
Keep the gun away from small children and keep it locked up.
That could have been a pistol. My son could be dead.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Davis versus Collazo, step forward, please.
21-year-old homemaker Aubrey Davis is suing her sister, custodian Claudia Collazo, for the cost of her son's medical bills. Aubrey says she paid for his treatment after he suffered an epileptic seizure.
Miss Davis, how are you related to the defendant?
She's my sister.
And this is your nephew?
Yes, correct.
Your son?
Yes.
According to your complaint, he was staying with you for a brief period of time. While he was with you, he had a seizure.
Correct.
You suffer from epilepsy?
Yes.
And he was taken to the emergency room. There was a medical bill of over $1,500, and you want your sister to be responsible for that.
Correct.
When did he come to live with you?
July 5th.
Prior to that, where was he living?
I believe he was at Stephanie's house, which is who he's living with now.
Who's Stephanie?
It is his dad's ex-wife. That's as much as I know about her.
Step up here, please. Tell me your name.
Richard Ellis.
Before you came to live with your aunt in July, who were you living with?
My brother's mom, Stephanie.
How long had you been living with her?
About a year.
And how old were you when you went to live with Stephanie?
15.
Why weren't you living with your mother?
My mom just told me, leave. My mom told me to leave.
But she told you to leave when you were 15?
Yeah.
When did he get sick?
July 6th.
Is that right?
Yes.
You were with your aunt for only one day before you had a seizure?
Yes.
Had you had seizures before?
Yes.
Did you have seizures when you lived with your mom?
Yes.
Why don't you sit down, Richard? You have a copy of the bills?
Yes.
Can I see them, please?
I also have a copy here from the hospital that shows that I never signed. And I asked them for the copy of the law stating that she's responsible for the bills since I didn't sign that paper. And all they gave me was the law. They didn't give me a copy of the actual law.
You took him to the hospital, is that right?
The ambulance took him and I arrived there with them.
Okay, Miss Collazo. All's in your court. Why are you not responsible for these bills?
January of 2002, Richard moved out of my house. I did not throw him out. I was having problems with him at school. He was arrested. He was in juvie. He didn't want to obey by my laws. I have documentation that that Stephanie had guardianship of Richard since January of 30th of 2002.
Stephanie was married to his father.
I don't know if they were legally married, but they had children.
Okay. That's where he went to live.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And
Where is his father?
Pardon?
Where is his father?
Where is his father? He lives in Las Vegas.
Okay, go ahead.
I have documentation of everything, of the guardianship papers.
Guardianship doesn't mean that Stephanie is financially responsible for him.
No, but he was living with her at the time.
Yes.
I didn't know that he was living with Aubrey.
Yes.
I received a phone call from Aubrey's husband stating that Richard was in the hospital. And I told him, well, don't have her sign anything. Get a hold of Stephanie. She has guardianship since I live 63 miles out of town.
Well, somebody has to admit him.
I was assumed that he was admitted. He was brought by ambulance. I don't know what was going on. All I had is a phone call.
Did you rush to the hospital?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
I had no way to get there right then and there.
You don't have a car?
Yes, I have a car, but I did not have a way to get there.
Where was your car?
It was there. It was at home.
So what do you mean you had no way to get there?
Financially, I was not working at that time.
You were an hour away?
Yes. It was late at night.
So? You're in for a rude awakening, madam. Because someone has guardianship of your child,
right,
that doesn't make them financially responsible for your child.
Okay.
Parents are responsible for the necessaries of a child. Necessaries mean food, clothing, shelter, medical care, sometimes lawyers' fees, and a variety of other things.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't change unless you go to court and have your child emancipated. If your 15-year-old child is emancipated by some judge who's a little nutty, then maybe you won't have financial responsibility for the necessaries. But right now, you do. Not her.
then why did she go in there and do what she did?
What did she do?
She jumped in my business. That's how I feel.
Your son came to our house on July 5th. He was there less than 24 hours and he had a seizure. What would you have suggested that she do, Ms. Galazzo?
She did the right thing.
So then what are you complaining about?
Is why I'm being taken to court. Why not
Who's
the
supposed
father?
to- You could sue the father and say, listen, I had to pay this bill, but you're partially responsible for it too. I'll pay half and you pay half. She doesn't have to go searching for the father who lives in Las Vegas.
Correct.
You do that.
Okay.
If you chose to allow him to leave your home and you chose to allow him to be under the guardianship of a biological stranger, that's within your family. But when it comes to his necessaries, you're not off the hook. If you want to sue his father, go to it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,595. That's all.
Yeah, this is case number 309 on the calendar in the matter of Rossi versus Holden Hills. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Mr. and Mrs. Rossi, you recently got married.
Yes, ma'am.
And the defendants catered your wedding.
Yes, ma'am.
You were not real happy with the wedding.
Very upset.
And you want half your money back, which
Yes,
is
ma'am.
$3,000. When was the wedding?
August 10th, 2002.
And how many people did you have at the wedding?
120, ma'am.
Did they have a catering hall?
Actually, it's a country club / reception hall catering company.
And they provided the food.
Yes, ma'am.
They say that everything just went along swimmingly well except for some little bananas or something that weren't
No.
done quite right. So I have a few questions before we get into what you weren't happy with.
Okay.
Having done a few weddings myself, I know that you usually go for a tasting of the food and to pick the menu. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you go for the tasting?
Approximately 1 or 2 months before the actual wedding day.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's say you went there sometime in either June or July and you picked the menu
Yes, ma'am.
and you had dinner.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you meet the chef?
Yes, ma'am.
On August 10th of 2002, did you have the same chef?
Yes, we did.
Same chef.
Yes, but she was fired that night.
We let her go that night, and we terminated her shortly thereafter.
Why?
Well, her attitude was, can't do anything about it now type of attitude, instead of, being apologetic. And
Can't do anything about what?
the fact that the plantains were not properly prepared.
Let's start. So you say there was nothing wrong at the wedding except the plantains were not properly prepared. Is that right, sir?
That was Mr. Rossi's main complaint that
I'm
night.
not talking about his main complaint. I'm talking about you do weddings. What was wrong with the food?
The only thing that was wrong with the food, Your Honor, was the plantains were not ripe and therefore were not prepared properly.
Let me hear.
That's not true.
Let's start with the first complaint.
Well, when we arrived at the reception hall and had our photographs taken, shortly thereafter, probably about 7 o'clock, we entered into the hall. There was no appetizers in the bridal room, as we had requested. There didn't seem to be any coordination.
That was in the bridal room, not,
Right.
not where the reception was being held.
Right.
So you didn't have an hors d'oeuvre to eat when you got there? You
Right.
personally?
Right.
Let's move on.
Okay. We walked into the reception hall after we were introduced, and all the salads were supposed to be in front of our guests and in front of our tables waiting for us.
Okay, so when you come into Michael and Zaida Rossi, come in, and everybody is standing around their tables, and the salads are supposed to be in place at that
Right.
time, and they were not there.
Right.
Why
That's
not?
Correct. The salads were not the first course, Your Honor. The first course, the appetizer course, was a pasta course. So the pasta would have been served before the salads as an appetizer.
Well, was pasta served?
The pasta was served before the salads, ma'am. And the salads were supposed to be on the table waiting for our guests, and then the pasta was supposed to be served after the salads.
Do you have a copy of the menu?
I have a copy of the contract, and it has everything that is on the menu. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but does it say what's to be served first, the pasta or the salad?
It says that it is cheese and the fruit displays, and then it says ziti and marinara, and then the chicken and the plantains afterwards. It doesn't say that the salad should be served before.
Okay,
No.
so what's your next complaint?
My next complaint is after they served the ziti, then they served the salads, and then we had to wait an hour before they actually served the dinner. So what we had to do is we had to ask the DJ to move along with the garter toss and the flower toss and the cake cutting. And we had to do this all before the dinner. The dinner wasn't served until 9:20 p.m. And the dinner was supposed to be served in between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, ma'am. We were married at 5 o'clock. And we had to go around and apologize to everybody for not
Between
the food.
7:30 and 8 o'clock. What happened? What happened?
What happened is the bridal party was running late that day, and when we say 7:30 to 8 o'clock, it's an estimated time. 99% of the time it runs late.
Why did it run an hour and a half late, is my question. Were you having trouble with the chef?
I think Mr. Rossi's referring to the entree being served at 9:20.
Yeah, he's talking about the entree.
I'm not sure it was 9:20, Your Honor. It might have been closer to 9. But if the party runs late, we still have to go through all the steps of serving the meal correctly, which means serving the appetizer,
So you weren't having
clearing
any
the
problem.
plates.
You weren't having any problem with the
No,
chef. Okay,
no.
let's go next.
Ma'am, after he served...
Let's go next. The meal comes. Is anything wrong with the meal?
Oh, yeah. It was disgusting. It was nasty.
I couldn't even make out what the plantains were. They were like rotten. They were hard.
It was disgusting.
Okay, what was served
It was supposed
with...
to be an ethnic meal.
Okay, what are you having as a main dish?
We're having Spanish rice, boneless chicken with plantains on the side.
Okay, so that was the side dish.
Right.
A side dish. That was the main problem, the plantains.
Well, the rice was nothing compared to what we had the day of our taste testing.
It was
the chicken was either overcooked or undercooked, and the plantains, half the people couldn't even make out what they were.
Well, he acknowledges that they were pretty nasty.
The rice was mushy. It was nothing what we had at the taste testing.
Okay, usually isn't.
It was nothing in comparison.
Usually isn't.
Okay.
But what did you do for them because the plantain, their side dish, was bad?
Well, as the night went on, Mr. Rossi had been drinking quite a bit. He came in drinking out of the limousine and down the aisle when they were introduced. And it was hard dealing with him. He was very upset with reason. We take full responsibility for the plantains, and we did try to make restitution. Towards the end of the evening, we told him we'd give him like $300 for the plantains. He didn't want to hear about it. Threw them at my feet in my office, where Linda Rossi had to take him out of the office. At the end of the night, I told him to go on his honeymoon, come back, and we'll discuss it when he comes back. And he came back with, Your Honor, this grocery list of 3 pages of what we think are nonsense nitpicking items.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I take the plantain out of the napkin. I said, look at what you're serving my guests. This was totally embarrassing. I threw it on the floor.
Get over it. There are worse things that happen globally than bad bananas.
And later today,
she said I could have a couple friends over.
Couple, like Noah's Ark, 2 by 2, couples, 2. So how many people did you have at this July 4th party?
About 20, ma'am.
20 is more than a couple.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael and Zaida Rossi say wedding banquet managers Roy and Rita Vermeesh owe for a refund of their wedding reception. The Rossis say the food was inedible.
Go ahead, Mr. Rossi, I'll hear you.
Okay, I had a couple of beers. I was not drunk.
Okay.
When the dinner was served at 9:20 p.m., I took one of the plantains and I put them in the napkin. I went out to the bar area and I was looking to speak to Roy. And that's where I encountered this woman where she was the head waitress, and I asked to speak to Roy. She wouldn't let me speak to him. He was very busy. Finally, he comes around the corner, and I take him into the office. I said, Roy, can I speak to you? He said, sure. I take him in the office. I said, Roy, look what time it is. It's 9:20. I got married at 5:30, and I take the plantain out of the napkin. I said, look at what you're serving my guests. I was so upset. This was our wedding day. This was totally embarrassing. I threw it on the floor. I was upset. I admit I threw it on the floor. And I told him, this is embarrassment, and I expect a refund or I will take you to court.
Fine. How much of a refund did you want?
Well, we set up an appointment, and I asked him for $3,000.
Well, $3,000 is outrageous. That's half.
Ma'am, we had golfers come in and eat.
Did you listen to me? $3,000, that's half.
It was a real embarrassment, ma'am.
Well, you get over it.
The waitresses were rude.
Excuse me,
Half
Your
of them
Honor.
wouldn't serve water.
I want to tell you something. I'm not minimizing the fact that this was not the wedding that you planned on, that you had nasty waitresses, that the rice wasn't good, that the chicken wasn't terrific, that the meal was served 45 minutes to an hour late. I'm not minimizing any of that. What that would do is to say to somebody, never use this catering hall again because we were totally dissatisfied. But if there was one thing, and it's clear from what Mr. Rossi says, the one thing that really irritated him, the one thing that he did was he brought this plantain in a napkin and threw it on the floor because that was what was awful. Look what you're serving my guests. There should be some restitution for that, not half the cost of your wedding. Put your hand down. Are you a mother?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, tell you, if you're her mother, then what you do is you say to yourself, you're going to teach your daughter a little bit of what's important and what's not. You don't get yourself totally exercised over something. You had a wedding, you got married, it's supposed to be a nice day. If the little bananas weren't right, you get over it. It's not the worst thing in the world. There are worse things that happen globally than bad bananas. And you don't expect it to be.
But you pay for a service.
It's not the whole thing.
Absolutely, absolutely
then
right.
you expect to
and there
get
are
it.
certain things that are objective, and there are certain things that are subjective. Attitudes of waitresses is not something that I could put on a barometer. Whether golfers came into the country club and ate your appetizers, something that you should consider before you book a country club where they have golfing people coming inside.
Well, they had assured us that that golfers were be off there by 6 p.m.
Listen to me. You're not following what I'm saying to you. If you're dissatisfied with the service, you don't recommend them again. You fed 120 people. 120 people came, they danced. Put your hand down, Mr. Rossi. That's what your main concern was. Your main gripe was one of the side dishes, and it's true that there were only 2 side dishes, turned out to be really lousy. You had your salad, you had your pasta, you had your cake, you had chicken, you had drinks. Let's see what else you had. You had cheese and fruit display. I assume that was there. You had hors d'oeuvres. You had beef teriyaki, scalloped bacon meatballs. Since I heard nothing about that, I assumed that they were there.
I would like to compliment.
You had something with grated cheese. You had chicken, rice, and plantains. Now, the plantains were lousy. They acknowledged that. You had wedding cake and ice cream, which I assume was served.
No, they did not even serve us. They didn't even offer me and my wife a piece of the wedding cake, ma'am.
Oh, get over it.
Can I say
Judgment for the
something?
plaintiff, listen to me. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. The whole wedding was $6,000, $500. As far as I'm concerned, covers the bad plantains. Goodbye. Be happy.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
didn't get to say anything.
She didn't want me to say anything about a dog coming in,
It came in, probably just walked into the place. Within seconds, he was out the door.
about coffee not being served, about water not being served.
I was probably rude, but I thought he was a drunk from downstairs.
About golfers eating your food, I mean, come on.
I think they should be happy and get on with their lives.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Casey versus Mogel, step forward, please.
Business owner Melissa Casey is suing her husband's former best friend, 25-year-old student Anthony Miguel, for trashing their home when they were on vacation. Melissa says Anthony threw a party and someone backed a truck into their pool.
Miss Casey, you and your husband were going away on vacation. You knew the defendant. He was a friend of either yours or your husband's or both, and he agreed to do some house sitting for you, take care of your house and your pets while you were away.
Correct.
You came home and you found that someone had backed up into your above-ground pool, causing it to leak, causing your whole backyard to become flooded and all the pumps and everything else destroyed. That happened on his watch.
Correct.
Is that right? Well, Mr. Mogel says that he did not destroy the pool and cause the damage. It was one of his guests that did that, and if you want to be compensated, you should get in touch with that guest. That's your defense. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, tell me what happened with the pool, sir.
I had threw a party on the 4th of July
At your house?
at their residence
Oh.
while they were away in Canada.
Now, just a second. You threw a party. Had you discussed that party with them before they left?
She said I could have a couple friends over.
Shh, please, please. Tell me about exactly what she said to you.
She said, as I was over at their house before they left.
Look at me in the eyes.
As I was over there at their house before they left, and we had agreed that I would watch the house. She said,
Look at me, look
sorry.
here.
She said, you could have a couple friends over, just take care of the house, and that's what I did. And I had a couple.
Now, just a second. Just 1 second. What level did you achieve in school, sir?
I'm currently attending college.
As a college student, I will ask you this question. A couple means how many?
A couple friends could be anywhere from 2 to about 20.
Do you ever watch Jay Leno?
Yes.
Do you ever watch Jay Leno when he walks around asking America's youth questions like who was the first president, who's buried in Grant's tomb, who was Jimmy Carter? And you hear the moronic answers they give sometimes.
Yes.
That's what I thought of when you said a couple could mean anywhere from 2 to 20. A couple, like Noah's Ark, 2 by 2, couples, 2. That's 2. You can have a couple of friends over, that's 2. A few friends over can be more than 2. It could be 3, it could be 5. Some people might even say it could eke up to 20. But a couple is always 2. That's why when you call up and make a reservation, they say, are you going to be a couple, or is your party a party of more than a couple? Couple is 2. So how many people did you have at this July 4th party?
About 20, ma'am.
That's a
20.
load of
20 is
crap.
more than a couple.
There were more than 20
Just a
people
second.
there.
Miss Casey, does it sound like you're losing? Don't interrupt. Say nothing to him.
Sorry.
Say nothing to him.
She wouldn't know
this
anyway
case,
how many
listen
people
to me. This case is a foregone conclusion. I'm really just sporting with him.
Okay.
Do you understand? I'm sporting
Yes,
with him.
ma'am. I
I'm
apologize.
sporting with him because this case should never have reached a court when the damage was done to the property. Hopefully, before you even got home, he would have made arrangements with the other person who caused the damage. Probably if they backed into your pool with a truck because they had had too much to drink, he would have made arrangements with that person to take care of the problem. He didn't do that. And even after you said you have to pay for this, he said it's not my responsibility. And he forced you to take time off from your jobs, pursue this case in court. Right? It goes against my grain to just say, you were wrong, sir. Please try to accept responsibility. I have to have some fun with him because I think that that's what you would like. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, it would be boring for you just to stand there and have me say to him, you're absolutely wrong.
Right.
Right? I have to embarrass him a little bit. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
And if he doesn't understand it, I'm telling him right up front. And I'm not keeping it a secret.
He obviously don't understand.
Well, he obviously doesn't understand. He's going to have to be one of those kids that stays in college about 6-7 years, maybe.
I'm currently on the honor roll and where I'm attending.
Really?
Yes.
Just tell me, Mr. Mogel, what happened on the date when this pool was damaged? You were, according to you, sleeping during this part of the party.
I was passed out around 2 a.m. and
Right.
the party was still going.
Go ahead.
And I
When you woke up, what'd you find?
a broken pool.
So why didn't you tell them that you would take care of it?
It wasn't my responsibility. Whoever backed into that pool needs to pay the damages.
Your Honor, I have pictures.
Bert, would you get the pictures?
Sure.
Who do you live with, sir?
With my brother.
Mm-hmm. That's a picture of the keg that him and his 20 friends drank.
Listen to me. He's a fool. He can educate himself from today till tomorrow if he doesn't understand the fact that he had a responsibility. He took on the responsibility to house it and to pet sit to ensure that your property was safe while you were there. That was his job. In exchange for having the pleasure of living in your house, use your pool, take a respite from wherever he was living, but live comfortably for a few days while you were away. In exchange for that, his job was to ensure the safety of your house, because if you wanted your place to be trashed, you could have just left it alone, and your dogs would have done their business like they did here with him watching the house, and maybe some strangers would have come in, thugs, vagrants would have come in and trashed your house, but you couldn't have done any worse, right?
Right.
Okay. So instead of him doing what he was supposed to do, he had a party with 20 friends. He passed out from drinking too much. All of his friends were probably in a similar state, and they trashed your property. Now, he doesn't think that that's his fault. And if he doesn't think that that's his fault, I want him to go back and take Graduate 101 watching Jay Leno say who's buried in Grant's tomb.
Your Honor,
Okay, because he's a fool. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,013.45. Get him out of here, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
हेलो गाइस, ये डॉल फिश है जिसमें हम कलर करेंगे। तो देखिएगा हम कलर कैसे करते हैं। वीडियो पसंद आए लाइक करें, शेयर करें, कमेंट करें। सबसे पहले हम बादलों में कलर करते हैं। गाइस हमारा कलर कंप्लीट हो गया है, आपको कैसा लग रहा है हमें कमेंट करके जरूर बताएं।